got the powerhouses of Japan here to accumulate themselves for those points and get ready for the second half of the playoffs. I'm already excited about it. Vicious here with St. Cola. Again, we've talked about this for quite a while now. What happens when the run back starts to come through? Well, we have one more week to kind of answer that question and get ourselves ready for it. For now, it's going to be, I think it's going to be, what, V6 FAV Gaming going up against Team Hiroshima Ikuza for the most part. And then after all that, it's going to be a scramble for points right now because we've seen what's happening on the other side of the fence, right? Good 8 squad going to be facing off against Saishun Console Kumamoto. You know what? It's kind of wild to see the V6 team and the Good 8 squad, the 2 finalists from last year, be in such different positions going into it. How do you feel about that, St. Cola?
All I feel is that it does tell us that it's so hard to determine who's going to take these top spots out here at this team tournament. It's so difficult to decide who's going to be, who's going to be taking it, who's going to be in at the finals as we get closer and closer to that midway point. As you already pointed out, this is the last day before we hit that point. And I'm curious to see what's going to settle in terms of the point system, because V6 plus FAV Gaming was the winners of last season. They were the winners, and now being at the bottom spot, going up against Hiroshima Ikuza, they're both be vying to get out of that position, but it's going to be definitely difficult. Look at all that money, 8 million yen split up between 5, 2, and 1 million yen between first, second, and third, respectively. That's a lot of money to play for. But most importantly, the position that you want to be in is to get the win out here for the league, Japan, so you can be the top team and then go on to fight the US and the EU later on at the finals.
Yeah, we've kind of mentioned what's at stake. We have also mentioned the rule set with the home and away teams. There's going to be 3 matches all across the board. The first 2 matches going to be 2 out of 3, 10 points apiece. The third match is going to be so important with 20 points. If a tiebreaker ever happens, man, I love seeing Aru and Hamiko go down, by the way. Get that stuff ready. But I will say, again, if the sudden death match needs to happen, that's going to be a first to 1. Anybody on the team could play, and it awards them 5 points. But going into it again, V6 Plus FAV Gaming versus Hiroshima Team Ikuza. Both these teams are in dire need of points, especially going into the second half of the playoffs. Or excuse me, second half of the season, getting ready for playoffs.
I mean, again, V6 being at the bottom run after being the victors. But, we got to wait and see what's going to happen here. They need 40 points to stay up on the line and stay fine. But first is Team Hiroshima, Team Ikuza, going up with the Storm Reset himself, Storm Kubo with the Abigail, Alex, and Dan Play. We might even see that today. After that is the Glitterage Percentage himself, Gunfight, staying all right with that Alex and the Oro. Right after that is going to be the Crux himself, Inaba, with that technical Bison. All plus frames, all positively, all dang day. And after that, the Coward Sia Crusher with that big bite of the donut, taking a big bite of the competition. I'm so curious as to see what donut he has in his hand. That's got to be like, I don't know. I'm not sure what that is, but it makes me hungry. And I'm sure they're hungry for the points out here, but it's going to be a very tall ask for them to take on the top team that was of last season, not this season, of last season.
Yeah, still as strong as ever, though. Leading the pack is the strongest spear. The surest spear, I should say, Sako with that Minot, still proving that the character is absolutely viable in competitive play. And of course, the genius pro gamer, Takedo himself, utilizing Luke, gravitating towards the top tier, making him look so difficult to manage, really. The executor of justice, bringing the judgment, Bon Chen, also following up with Luke, and the subspace Sansara, Torimeshi, with a ever important Dalsim. And I say it's important because they are going to be on the home side, right? I think Dalsim is absolutely imperative for having, the wrench in the gears for some of these players as the big counter pick. I think Torimeshi has proven himself to be one of the more pivotal tools in the V6 squad on more than a single occasion.
Right. I don't really think that's the case. I mean, Sim does really well against a lot of characters that we've seen throughout this entire league, especially Luke. But wow, what a decision we see up on the screen. Crusher going up first. We're gonna see Storm Kubo up with the Abigail and then Inaba. That kind of makes sense to me, Inaba, but Crusher going up first. When you have a sim that we just talked about that can delete a lot of these characters and a lot of these teams, it's strange to see Crusher already going up. But however, I say that Crusher did well during the CPT World Warrior 2, where he fought 2 sims and took them down. That is not a good match for Birdie, but he definitely was able to find a good game plan with the EX, put him in the corner and making them fall, and enacting that great corner pressure that Birdie has. So we'll see what they send up on the side of V6 Plus. Remember, they need all the points as possible because they're in 7th place.
Yeah, I mean, if you're V6 plus FAV gaming, one of the biggest things that you have on your team are the counter picks, right? I think, like, you know, two of the biggest counter picks that you could actually ask for against Birdie would be like Minot or Dalsum. That just happens to lie on both ends. I think Sakonoko does a pretty good job navigating or still piloting this character who most people have kind of written off this season. I think Minot still does a pretty decent job against characters like Birdie who have very, very solid mid-range footsie tools, really good buttons to harass with from the lights, great bufferable normals, right? I think Minot takes care of that pretty well, more often than the rest of the cast, so I think him going up first makes a lot of sense.
We'll see how it works out. Let's see if Crusher has some sort of game plan. Crusher says, this match, I'm sure the opponent will come to get me. I will do the same. And Sako says, I want to win this and contribute to my team. And I think Crusher is kind of right in terms of how Sako like to play, because we've seen Sako with that slugger style, with that Minot, not willing to kind of content to sit back and play the lame style like the Justin Wonga type. He's willing to get in to get the win, the medium punch and fiercest in the mid to close range, and then get that V-trigger situation where a lot of Minots kind of rely upon too much. He doesn't. It's kind of a backup plan for him to get the win. However, when we look at the results for Sako, you know, he's 2-2 right now. You know, he beat Moke's Rashid, then lost to Fudo's Mika, then lost to Quano's Colleen, and then beat Nemo's Urian clean in that anchor match. That was a good 3-0 right there. So he's not doing too bad, but not doing too good. We'd definitely like to get more points on the board.
Yeah, it's not too bad of a record, all things considered, right? You were talking about one of the wins from the away side, one of the teams from the home side. He actually got that again, like in via losses against Body Stars and Good 8 Squad. But those are two teams that have been like dominating the charts, right? I think all things considered, I think that's not too bad of a record at all. I think there's a lot to be said with this team, right? They've had a pretty bad run, like in terms of luck and streaks and whatnot, but in terms of the player matchups and the decisions they've made as a team, I think they need to like reconvene and figure out what they need to do. If they're the home team, what they need to do in regards to like capitalizing on their home field advantage, right?
Crusher, let's go about his stats real quick. 1-3 right now. In terms of wins and losses, he lost to Machua's Akali and Dogra's Bison, but then won against Nauman's Luke. That was a fantastic match. But then lost to Yamaguchi's Luke, which is a different sort of style, and then lost to Daigo's Guile in the anchor match. So he's down, 3, but we'll see if he can come through with that game plan. I think having that CPT might also have helped some of these players. I'll get into how that worked out for Tokido recently because he was in that top 8 spot. But I think that CPT kind of showed me that a lot of these players are finding their style with the characters in this new meta and getting a little bit more solidified. So I'm expecting a lot from V6 today. However, I also want to point out the fact that Saishun Console is super hungry too as well. They already have the wonder child in the wings, Higuchi, just in case they need him later on in the but I'm sorry, that's a different team, my bad. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Itsuka, let me go back to Itsuka. Itsuka is super hungry. I mean, they're sitting at the bottom spot in 8th with a character roster that's so unique. Like, it's not like you have Lukes and stuff like that. You have Birdie. You have characters that aren't typically seen, or like they're mid or low. Maybe I wouldn't say low tier, but mid tier. You do have a high tier with Bison, but you don't really have like the picks like the Luke and things like that. So I'm curious to see how they're going to operate and get around that factor where your characters are special, but they definitely have a lot of problems to them. Compared like Oro, who has V-Trigger, who can rob people with, but it's not enough in terms of the neutral. Like, how they're going to operate in the season full of like Lukes and Urians and Camis and stuff. I'm curious to see what they're going to do in return. Getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, I gotta really kind of sit back and think about what the game plan is going to be for both teams, right? Again, we've kind of mentioned this like week in, week out. Every single team has like powerhouses in regards to Street Fighter V, right? These guys are all like top talent, top players. I just want to know what's going to happen now, like getting themselves ready for like the second half of the season. It's like, all right, well, we've had this many points. We got to figure out what the change needs to be, because this is like upper echelon, right? Like there's not a lot of margin for error in regards to like playing off against each other here. So I want to know what happens, especially with a team like V6 and team Hiroshima Ikuza. See how it plays out. Sakonoko rocking the Minot. It's going to be Crusher with the birdie. Here we go, game 1.
Ooh, I love that option. The 4 fierce of the armor, just to get in to get that close range sort of gameplay, and got the command grab. Sakonoko forced to back off. That's the voice he'd like to do. There's that EX coming out to play, and the V skill too as well to lock him down to the corner and enact that corner pressure. You're worried about mediums, lights, and the fierce, and a heavy kick every so often. Could be the comeback.
And it's such a great V-trigger tool to initiate some of those comebacks. It's up to Crusher really to kind of stand his ground and not get bullied. Right now, Sakonoko, he found an initial opening off of a V-skill. This is some of the things I'm talking about, right? People tend to like overextend if they have like the life lead and whatnot. We're starting to see that a little bit from Crusher. More often than not, I think there was 2 instances where he's trying to go forward or he's trying to use V-skill against Sakonoko. And there we go, finding the gap against Sakonoko's offensive pressure, which is something that's really rare, right? Sakonoko usually keeps it tight-knit. There hasn't been very many instances where people are able to counter against like Sakonoko's orbs, but I'm glad Crusher found that opening. And here we go again, the aggression, more so from Sakonoko, I feel like, than Crusher.
I like that he wants to turn up early up in these rounds, gets the crush, take him down, and needs to keep that lead as much as possible. Gets the explosion and the DP ender right there, avoids the V-skill, the can on the ground, no littering. To find. You see Crusher trying to find an activation, will get it on hit. That's going to increase the walk speed and the damage done if he can land those hits, though. Sako with the blocks. Let's get out of this corner, though. It'll be difficult for this character.
Crusher, man, so yeah, the V-skill usage in front against Sakonoko hasn't really paid off for Crusher, but again, there's the first one. He initiated that way further out, which allowed him to close the gap, right? But now it's going to be Sakonoko. Yeah, big problem. Crusher tried to anticipate whatever it was, maybe like an orb release of some sort, going like horizontally, trying to do maybe like, you know, bullhead past it, but I don't know. Crusher hasn't been able to find like solid ground against Sakonoko just yet.
And Sako, a lot more of the buttons coming through, like the fierce every so often in the orb situations, have been stopping Crusher's approach. It's that aggressive style that Crusher was kind of anticipating, but still is in the game plan of Sako. And you see him also spinning his buttons a little bit different, not getting caught with the 4 fears with the armors that's been catching Sako with the crush or allowing Crusher to get in EX addition, but blocks it out Sako, making it very difficult for Crusher to even enact those medium punches. Look at that, the trade keeping that distance.
I love that. Yeah, I think the crouching jab is such a great deterrent now, Crusher, but still getting crush countered. That's just, oh man, it's so unfortunate. Once we see, oh yeah, that is a great call out from Sakonoko. The backdash, buffering the critical art. Anyway, taking it down against Crusher. Game number 1 going to Sakonoko. I gotta say, man, Crusher has the right ideas, but like, I feel like there's just something about what he wants to do that's kind of like rushed in. Right? He's not fully considering the character Minot and who he's playing against, I feel like. Like, it's no disrespect to Crusher, but you've seen a ton of damage just being dealt by trying to initiate V-skill. You see a ton of damage being dealt from him being overzealous and kind of like dashing up and using bullhead like off of a read. I want to see a little bit more of like a solid game plan against someone like Sakonoko from Crusher.
I think the game plan is working, but you put it out right when you said playing it's the person, because we see the rhythm of the buttons changed up by Sako, stuff different with it. When he throws out the fierce and the orb explosions and we see the jabs on the dash, stuff like that, it's all a different sort of pace than what he had in the first round. The first round, Crusher had the right reads, he had the right execution, things like that. But then Sako changed it up, and you have to apply your own the same sort of pace that they're going at too. He's going to get lost in the race because now Crusher is getting crush counter continuously. He's getting checked. And those crush counters also lead up to Sako getting into V-trigger even earlier or building a bar even earlier. So Crusher has to, as you pointed out, stop overextending, stop dashing to get the win, use those beautiful buttons of the character and walk this character down and really harass him in the corner. When you put him in the corner, Birdie has so many buttons to put on the menu. Standing heavy kick already, medium punch, crouching light, we've seen that before. But Crusher's tendency to overextend is going to get him got. Sako already with 1 game.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think there's moments where Crusher, again, you just mentioned it too, he's getting checked over and over again. He needs to find a spot where he can actually get himself going without getting checked for free, without getting damaged for free. But we see the shift up, right? We see the change in V-skill. It's V-skill 2. And what I like about it is he gets to somewhat build V-gauge for himself in a manner where it doesn't get him in trouble, right? He gets to chew on the bubblegum and kind of tease Sakonoko and making him think he's going to be going to get punished for it. So I do like this change-up.
That's true. Also the fact that you built that V-bar with the quickness and be able to enact that better walk down pressure we might see from the character.
Yes.
But an activation, but Sako's ready. Look at that interruption on that Russian situation. Can't delay the inevitable.
This is a big problem now, Sakonoko. His other orb is on the way through. Yeah, the recall still has 6 orbs. What's going to be the release here? Crusher, this is what I like to see. Him being a little bit more patient. That's a great trade for Crusher.
Oh! Oh, he tried to catch him lacking. The jump back. Go free Willy.
Oh. That was unfortunate. That was actually just unfortunate for Crusher trying to, react to whatever it was Sakonoko was going for mid-air. It wasn't going to be the drill kick, obviously, but yeah, I mean, Crusher played it a lot smoother. That is for sure.
Trying to get those right ideas. Lock him down with a bubble yum. Lots of fun right here up from this corner. Command grab, stuns rising, one more touch will do it, but the wake up super. Good call from Sako to get some distance with it. Had to do it. Not a lot of reversal options for this character. And still in the corner, gotta find a way out.
Oh.
That'll help.
I love that, yeah. Just the side switch. For now from Sakonoko, gets to apply even more pressure. Another grab. Hold this frame trap. Checking down below, that was a counter hit. No big conversions though from Sakonoko. Fortunately for Crusher, has to withstand the pressure. Just one more orb, one more sequence, and now Sakonoko backs away, no longer in trigger. It's gonna be tough though. Crusher, if he can find the right route to get it to trigger, that was so big. Sakonoko with the defense. The recall's coming. The command grab just in time. Now it's Crusher City. I love that idea. That's such a good call. Knowing full well that Sakonoko was gonna hold down back, making the right read, going for the command grab. Excellent decision making from Crusher.
We wanted to see from Crusher. Think about what they're doing. Think about their options, what they're doing on defense. And not for nothing, Sako's defense has been fantastic. But Crusher is answering back, standing off that set point, gets the EX, and Susie from the gap. And that B skill's been doing a lot in terms of the deterrent. Checking the aerial space and building up that B part with the quickness. More Fierce is checked. That's the EX that connects and drops it down to the ground for a punish. With Sako at that distance. Crusher, be careful how he comes in. Looking to land on that bubble yum, didn't get it.
Oh, and he actually gets it, the Dolphin Dive, EX. Coming in and breaking the guard of Sakonoko, making him rethink his decision. There we go, no recall to fear. Sorry, we do have the V-trigger activation though.
On that jump back, EX, trying to catch him lacking, but Sako with the orb stop. Dive kick, gets it overhead. Didn't get a conversion, that would have been sick with it. The area right there, Crusher, now with the activation. Careful of that bar at the bottom. I know he sees it, but still gets the knockdown. It's smart to play with. Don't leave any gaps, Sako. He's hunting, he's fishing.
Oh, he actually gets one sequence into critical art, and that'll be it. Sakonoko getting closer and closer to that W, but Crusher, he's got a lot to say about that. Still within V-trigger, has 14 seconds on the clock, a good amount of life left as well. All he needs to do, I think, right now, is pretty much hang back.
Overextend.
Oh, boy.
Oh no, he might not get his win. Talking about the overextension, EX gets the knockdown. Oh, run. Who got it done? It's Crusher.
Oh, yeah, I see. Okay.
That
was actually a lot closer than I thought, yeah. Crusher taking it down. Night and day difference in regards to the game plan against Sakonoko. And playing it a lot more patient. This is what we wanted to see. Crusher now waking up, seeing what he needs to do against Minot.
Nice, to change the V skill. And more importantly, just understanding what Sako wants to do on defense. You called it out right when he went for the 2 command grabs, knowing that Sako was going to hold down back like that and not open himself up. That allows the grip to do it, and this allows Crusher to exemplify more of these options and a better use of the EX bar too as well. He's looking for gaps. He's not just rushing in with the EX situation. He's looking for the gaps. He's looking for punishes. He's looking for opportunities to utilize that resource. And it's something I saw before with him at the CPT before. How he utilized that EX bar in matchups that weren't so good for Birdie allowed him to stay solid and enact a lot of corner pressure that found the other character just lacking in health. So we see Sako forced to take a break. He's like, dang, this character is so strong. And honestly, I believe in Crusher to possibly take this if he keeps up the same sort of rhythm. However, Sako might have something to say in terms of changing up the rhythm or maybe a character choice.
We'll see how that plays out. Again, all tied up 1-1 we're not going to see any sort of changes from the side of Minot and Sakonoko for the V set. I believe, yeah.
No character change either.
I love this so far.
Ride or die with this character.
Yeah, I love the forward fears too. The decisions from Crusher have been pretty solid thus far. Sakonoko, fortunately, gets the back throw. Now gets to control the corner for as much as he wants to.
He still gets the knockdown, dive kick in, gets his back, knows there's a gap like that. And it's immediately taking his opportunity, trying to command grab the V shift away. But able to get the punish. EX, lather him that, gets a knockdown on that normal, gets a medium. Everything working out for Crusher. Everything looking up Crusher as he puts himself on set point. Look at him ride a backfish. Look at these decisions.
So sick too. I'm loving the command grab decision making from Crusher, and that's just showing a lot of reluctancy from Sakonoko to even like make a decision for like jumping out of the corner. Crusher has shown off the card of being able to stuff out the option of move it more often than not, so that's why these command grabs have been working so far. And we see that, we know that Crusher sees a lot at the end of the tunnel. The way that he's playing is a little bit more antsy now. He's making a lot more read-based decisions, and Sakonoko is taking full advantage of that. Now we get ourselves in trigger, so this is going to be the great equalizer for Crusher. But the neutral jump, so powerful. Sakonoko has called out the bullhead so often.
Oh, he's trying to catch him with a throw bait, but still puts him in the corner. Activation. This should do it. Yes, sir. More than enough damage on the deck. And that puts that final round.
And this is a scary situation now. Full critical art on deck for Sakonoko. He gets to abuse a lot of the ranges with the orb and also apply a little bit of chip damage too. And there we go. Yeah, once he gets the big opener, man, does it do a decent amount of damage.
We punish. EX is there. He wasn't aware of the command grab coming through. Those command grab situations have been definitely getting into Sako. Great combo. He keeps the pressure on with the EX. B skill, orb recall. Again, Crusher trying to find a gap. It's so hard. Back to trying to get the chain play. Now back against the wall. Not where we want to be as Birdie. Immediately finds the EX out of there for the activation. Sweep off the feet this time. Wrist is finding a reward.
I can't believe the sweep actually reached.
Sako's still in the lead.
I was very concerned. With the V skill as well, Sakonoko. He's still going to be playing that life lead game. A couple more instances of chip damage, or even like blocking a couple of normals. Yeah, he does get access to V trigger. I love the punish on the dive, and I love the evasion thus far from Sakonoko being extra slippery. But one sequence is going to be more than enough. I think he could get himself to chip damage, and Crusher knows it as well. Firing back with the full head, getting himself out of harm's way.
Rushing down. One more hit will do it. Under that chip no dip situation, Crusher has to avoid the super, but he can't, as Sako is going to seal it with the chip to do it. Sako playing at that pace that Crusher wanted to. Crusher even knew that he was going to come to him to get the win, but Sako was able to get that W. Fantastic play from Sako.
And it could have gone either way. I think there was an instance where Crusher, you know, he's starting to get that adaptation right, but I think Sakonoko played to his resources a lot better in the final moments of that set, more than Crusher did. Just good awareness overall. He's like, all right, well, I put myself in a position where I'll have more meter, I'll have enough life to bully with my V trigger if need be later on. I think just overall the resource management from Sakonoko proves why he has been the top veteran for such a long time. And it shows like the amount of experience being shown from the side of Sakonoko in comparison to someone like Crusher.
I do think that Sako's proclivity to like go back to less of a slugger style, where, you know, not that mid to close range anymore, because he was getting command grab and things like that, hit with the mediums, and in some instances whip punish. Going back to that long range game kind of frustrated Crusher enough to put him off his pace. And that's typically what you would see in that matchup. A lot of anti-airs on the side of Sako, denying that aerial approach. Not so much on the side of Birdie. Unfortunately, the crouch medium punch did not work out in some of these instances. And obviously as Birdie, it's hard to anti-air as effectively as it used to be in previous seasons. And also you see a lot of those command grabs, a lot of the command grabs taken. I feel like that's just normal throws at the end, because we did see a lot of command grabs happen on the side of Sako, but I guess you can't tech those. Either way, the play, though, from Sako, going back to more a defensive style to frustrate Crusher, was fantastic on his side. And I think that kind of led to Crusher's demise to make him waste those resources and not be in that range for EX Dolphin and things like that. And now we see a 10-point on the side of FAP Gaming. Fantastic start for them, but it's not even close to over.
Yeah, and I love the fact that we actually have these stats, right? Taking into consideration the amount of times Crusher was unable to tech correctly, right? 2 out of 11 throws that were, or throw techs that were successful from the side of Crusher, just goes to show you that Sakonoko has done such a great job of keeping people so scared of the frame traps, right? I think that's a really important story to tell, because Sakonoko piloting Minot is, it's really something to behold. Like, nobody else gets more terrified than someone being on the receiving end of Minot with V-Trigger on, right? So I think that's super important right now for Sakonoko to get this W for the board. Up next right now, going up against Storm Kubo. I'd imagine it's Bonchan, just because of the fact that, you know, they zoomed the camera on him. 2, the choice is going to be Abigail from Storm Kubo. So you'd imagine no matter who Bonchan picks, either Sagat or Luke, it's going to be a good time to utilize his character, either of his characters, for just the projectiles itself.
In fact, like during the pre-show, I was able to glimpse a little bit of that, where they were talking about how Sagat could take on the many characters that Storm Kubo could present. So I'd like that as a smart option, as you point the Sagat play. Didn't really work out too well against Yamaguchi, but I think when you're fighting Dan, Abigail, or even Alex, any of the characters that were presented on the side of Storm Kubo, the character does just fine. You know, fireballs, long range, forward heavy kick, all those buttons can do fantastic against those characters, and especially Dan. Like, Dan's going to be the worst of that pack dealing with the fireballs because he doesn't really have any anti-fireball play. So I like Bonchan also going up, because if that doesn't work out, Sagat doesn't work out, he does have the Luke. It's the first 2, so doesn't have much time to switch. But if he needs to, he can go with the Luke. And Bonchan, jovial, but he needs some points. He definitely needs some points. He's 1-4 right now. His last match that he had lost was against that Yamaguchi Luke. So I'm curious to see how the Sagat's going to be. It's like, okay, the Sagat's a little rusty. Haven't played him in Street Fighter League in a while. I have to get him up to par for this season.
Yeah, I mean, like, as of last week, Bonchan actually utilized Sagat. Lost to Yamaguchi. So I mean, like, I think in regards to how rusty it truly is, I don't think it's that rusty. With all due respect, I think Bonchan has been still practicing this character on and off in streams too. But for the most part, I think what's really important here in regards to the matchup is that, like, I think with Luke, the firewall game is pretty important, right? We talk about the projectiles being one of the biggest things against Abigail, but I think that Sagat also has some pretty hefty counter poking normals, right? A lot of his like his big buttons, like medium kick is really good, goes pretty far. Roundhouse also being a big crush counter. Crouching heavy punch having a pretty strong hurtbox or a hitbox behind it. I think it covers a lot of what Kubo wants to do. Storm Kubo throws out a lot of long range normals and harasses people with it pretty often. We see like the crouching jabs more often than not to kind of close the space. Then when we see that space kind of like aligned for him, or even if he's too far out, we see the crouching medium punches to kind of check even more so, or push the opponent further back. I think Sagat does a great job of like being able to counter those 2 normals.
Right. I agree. I think Storm Kubo's game plan is, as we see, he loves to be in that scramble situation and kind of make people feel uncomfortable. We saw that with the Fudo, where he was almost able to take Fudo out, putting him in these situations where Fudo had to make some big calls, and he'd hit him with the 4 fierce with the crush counter, things like that. He's going to have to play in that sort of way, because when it comes to Sagat, not just Bonchan himself, but it comes to Sagat, he's not a comeback character. If he loses the lead, it's hard for him to come back. His V-triggers, you have to be on hit to really deal out the damage. He's not going to be able to chase you down. He doesn't really get OK off DPs, so it's difficult for that character to swing things back in his momentum, even if the matchup is in his favor. However, someone like Bonchan, he knows that. He has that spatial awareness. He has the idea of like, all right, I understand that I can't lose that lead, so I'll play that way. I'll have fantastic fireballs to layer them on. If I have to get a little bit risky with the knees every so often, then I'll do so. I've seen him run up the knees round start, just get that knockdown, and that sort of play kind of helps Sagat. It doesn't fix his problems, but it helps Sagat in some bad situations.
Yeah, if need be, right? But I think right now, you know, max distance Tiger Knee could be a big threat. It could be a big problem for Storm Kubo to consider. We'll see if that gameplay actually comes to fruition. I'm actually very curious to see if that's going to be utilized for this matchup specifically. But as it stands right now, we're still deliberating between these two. Storm Kubo and Bonchan. Sagat versus Abigail is exactly what you could expect. The character's already locked in. My man Storm Kubo has been animated since day one, I feel like. There hasn't been like a single beat skipped when it comes to him and camera time and how he is as a person. I think he's super cool to also hang out with. I had the luxury to see him over at, I think it was like Evo a couple of years back and over at Evo Japan, one of the years that I got to go. So I gotta say, man, it's cool to see him still like not deterred by the current results. Like he's still like feeling positive about everything.
Definitely can't be you can't be like too down the dumps too much. You know, you understand that you do have a lot to play, obviously, but you do have to shore up things because he is 0-3 right now. His last match that he lost was with the Fudo against Fudo's Poison with the Alex. So let's see if he can solidify himself. Kubo said, just as I expected, I did all I could do. I'll show the real Street Fighter League match. And Bonchan says, if I were to play against Kubo, I have prepped by in all means. I will get this. So both of them feel like they're prepped and prepared and ready to fight. I'm again curious to see how this matchup's going to go. If we're going to see a switch for these characters, if we are going to see like a switch if the Abigail's not working, if he goes to the Alex, if he goes to the Dan, try to shore up some things, or if he just rides or die with the Abigail. I mean, Abigail is a character that is still very powerful. I still think he's very good. It's just they're better characters, especially when it comes to grappling or being more consistent. His anti-airs are not so good. His damage output's fantastic, but laying those hits is a little bit harder with the V-shift system, taking out V-trigger and that deadly threat of Metro Crash on Oki situation. So it's a character that can still work, and I think it still fits his style. He just has to adjust to the new meta of the character, as we see with Itazan.
We'll see how that plays out. Again, Abigail being the main choice for Storm Kubo. And I'm glad also, while we're getting ourselves ready for the matchups, I'm glad you mentioned that Alex play. I think the Alex play could be sharpened up just a little bit more, but at the same time, what he did to Fudo, like how close it actually was, despite it being like a blowout in terms of game points and 0-3, not like the best record, but if you look at it like round per round, there was a lot of like scary instances where Fudo could have faltered. Like we see the potential here from Storm Kubo more often than not. So like he has the grappler mentality, being part of that lifestyle for so long now. So I'm curious to see how much she's like kind of like sat down back in the lab with Abigail now to kind of like figure out what he needs to get done for the teams at hand for the rest of the season.
Yeah, definitely curious to see what he has up his sleeve. I've seen his stream every so often. He'll play like a variety of characters. I think that definitely helps out being a student of the game. Someone like Storm Kubo is definitely a student of the game and understands all these characters. He'll play through ranks and stuff like that. I believe I have seen his Sagat. I've seen his Akuma before, so he understands like how the shorter players want to play. He's gotten that mindset too as well. So not only does he have the grappler mindset, he understands how to play the other characters. At least enough to like, okay, you want to do the zoning play, I'll have a thing for you. Like I'll have a game plan for you because I've been in those shoes before. I've been in that game plan, that mind front before. But again, this is Bonchan, an Evo champion. He had a great year 2019. Maybe not the best year recently, and maybe not the best results at CPT so far in terms of like getting the points. Considering how stacked it is, it's difficult in general. So I'm sure that he wants to, himself shore up what he's doing wrong and come through strong and definitely get some points up on the board. He's been lacking points too as well. He's been lacking wins, so get a W today. Being well studied, it may happen. It may happen. We'll see as we get to the match here. Storm Kubo versus Bonchan.
I didn't get to see the V-set, but I will say that it's going to be pretty important to know that I think, having V-Skill 1 as Abigail would be like a way to kind of close the gap little by little. But we'll see. I love that intro. I'm glad he lets it run. Oh, it's V-Skill 2. Okay. It's going to be this higher, which makes sense.
You have to find the knockdown to really make that work out. These high tiger shots and low tiger shots are so quick with it, it'll interrupt that from even happening. See right there. The tire's still there though. So cool, able to call it out in time.
Now this is something that we rarely get to see, right? Somebody who's able to utilize the tires in a projectile war. Oh yeah, and I love that decision from Bonchan. Being able to finish up that combo. Getting rid of the tire.
All right, once again, careful still on the screen. Has to block it out. Smart call from Kubo. Medium, still there in that flip-out situation. Charge up, V-shift. Blocks it out, EX farm for the knockdown. It gets that armor. And the 4-piece knockdown with the DP. Backs up for the fireball game.
Look at how much damage Storm Kubo's taken just trying to call out some of these tires, right? He had it down to pretty much even against Bonchan. And Bonchan was actually super reluctant to throw some of these fireballs. Now it's down to just a guess for game situation off of the jump in. Bonchan gets it. First round.
Bonchan with that zoning play, making it difficult for some people to really capitalize on it. But not only that, just his defense in general has been fantastic. And you see him stay in that mid-range as much as possible to even deny that from happening. If it's not the medium kick, it's going to be the fireballs, and what a fantastic DP and an anti-fire right there against a jump heavy kick. And called out for free, DP right through, yes sir.
It's not a valid strategy anymore. Storm Kumo has been getting blown up for calling some of these tires in.
Bonchan taking it nice and easy. Staying breezy, nose, looking for the gap, but uh-oh, the charge of the armor gets through. Make the most of this, Storm Kubo.
That is so smart, yo. Bonchan V-shifting the tire. Oh, we saw that buck we were talking about earlier. Utilizing the EX Tiger Knee, getting himself out of the corner, but now he gets to harass with a ton of projectiles if need be until, you know, Storm Kubo gets within medium range. Now Bonchan gets the counterpoke. This is the good part that we were talking about. Yeah, V-reversal. Create some of that space. Back-to-back V-reversals. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, danger territory.
No interruption on the flip. He's got V-bar. Could go for a V-shift if need be. V-reversal. Trying to get the overhead. Too far for the punish. Anyone's game. 10 seconds on the clock. In the low shot rocks like a bartender. Serving out the shots, Bonchan.
And it's so scary too. I think Storm Kubo had the right idea, right? He had thrown out crouching medium punch in anticipation for the tiger shot because you want to try to at least get like that trade off. I mean, ideally you want to stuff it out before the tiger shot even comes out, right? Seeing the hurt box, but just slightly out of range. Bonchan, you can see a little bit of a sigh of relief. Like he's looking at it, he's like, man, that was a lot closer than I'd hoped it to be.
Getting robbed. I mean, we saw him up in the corner, you know, using that armor. Storm Kubo was doing a good job, at least, of that situation. But it's just those V reversals, the V shifts that are coming through. We talked about that EXDs coming through also as a bust-up situation. Betting in on that sequence to get him outside the corner just for a little bit. However, if Storm Kubo can find some way to play around the V-shift system with that V-skill, he can get the kill. He can see those mixes, but it's hard. That V-shift being able to adjust the distance, and even without the V-shift, we've seen the jump-ins from Bonchan going for sequences that delete the V-skill off the table. It definitely looks like Bonchan is ready for that V-skill. Maybe it's going to be time for a switch where the parry is able to let him walk in against the fireballs.
Yeah, I think even the range that Storm, well, yeah, a couple things to consider actually before I get into my point is he had initially used the tires to counterplay against the fireballs, but I still think like V-skill 1 is going to do that like just fine. Granted, you'd have to be way more on point with your reactions, but I think it's a lot better than sacrificing some health to get the tire or sacrificing getting jumped in on for a full combo while also getting your tire demolished too. So I think maybe like a V shift. No, the V skill is going to be the same actually.
Cool, riding with this system. We'll see if it works out. I definitely agree. I think you have to be more on point, but it would work out better for him. However, he might have a new game plan. Bonchan sock up with that V skill to make those knees even more of a harder thing to deal with, or plus frames, or at least 0 on block situation. Medium kick anti-air, not even a DP.
And I love that. Yeah, utilizing the knee pretty much max distance, also to create some space for himself, and then jump out for the repositioning. And now it's going to be all Bonchan in control against Storm Kubo. If he wants to get out of this corner, he's going to have to pay a hefty toll.
B-shift into the, not even a break, just the smart, so smart to get a punish on that. You see a lot of people just go for the break, but instead getting a punish and staying solid. Bonchan just needs one hit to do it. And for Sagat right now, it should be easy. One good fireball, one good medium punch, or the EX to connect Bonchan on set point.
You got the Thirsty Tuesday specials, right? You got the buy one, get one free in shots. That EX shot running rampant against Storm Kubo. Now, he gets to celebrate even more. It's happy hour. A couple of shots pretty early.
I'm real happy right here. Real happy right here for Bonchan. Has him locked up in the corner. This is great. Kara DP at that distance.
One of my favorite things is seeing a Sagat player fully understand the ranges of where to Kara DP, where to Kara Tiger Knee. He's been so on point with that. Bonchan looking near flawless. Yep, that's the one.
DP through the armor. Eats right through. And get through. Bonchan with a 2-0 against Storm Kubo. Having all the options, all the options already pointed out, and just feeling very confident in that match.
That's an option I didn't even really consider, right? We were waiting for the moments for Storm Kubo to bust out with armor. I didn't realize that EX Tiger Uppercut would just blow that up completely. Yo, Bonchan put in the most work in regards to the research. That was, I will say, very, very convincing. You could tell, like, there was not a single bluff in that man's statement, especially with the results that we just saw.
Definitely look happy right there. As you pointed out, like, I think the reverse is, when we look at Sagat when he's playing a matchup very well, like when things are aligning for him, it looks so hard to do with the character. Frustrating with the tiger shots, things like that. Long range normals. You just push back up in the corner, and he has all this room to play with. Even the card DPs flew for free. I feel like Bonchan just back in his back with the character. Definitely labbed all those situations. Stayed solid against Storm Kubo, who had some good situations. It's not like Storm Kubo didn't have him against the wall for a little bit in that first match. We saw him desperately going for veer reversals, things like that, forcing Bonchan to stay as solid as possible. It's like one hit to do it, but it's just Bonchan being able to confidently DP. And honestly, I want to point that out as much as possible. Look at the anti-airs on the side of Bonchan. 6-6, 100%. On the side of Storm Kubo, wasn't able to anti-air. And yes, it's predictive when it comes to Abigail, but Bonchan was able to jump out for free. No crouch fears, no lights, none of that came from the side of Storm Kubo. And now, FAV Gaming sits to succeed right here. They just have to win an anchor match.
That's kind of hefty, right? We've talked about how technical Inaba can be as we look at the stats yet again in regards to the previous match. We talked about how technical Inaba can be and his willing to, or like his willingness to kind of like change up strategies at a moment's notice. I think that's going to be a pretty big call to like even try to counter with. I wonder who's going to actually come up. Is it going to be Torimeshi? I think Torimeshi would be just fine for this matchup, but also at the same time, I think Luke does just fine against Bison. Not to meme it up, again, I think Luke does a great job against most matchups, but against Inaba in particular, I think Tokido's Luke would be just fine.
I agree. I think the matchup between, well, I think they're focusing on Torimeshi either way. The Sim Bison matchup is gotten more even as the season has gone on. V-Shift and V-Break help. I think it might be still slightly in Bison's favor. You know, I think that's still the case. But it's not like Sim can't present some dangerous options just in general. And V-Shift and Break help him stay alive where he wasn't able to previously. And now the pressure with that character, you know, Wake Up Gale and stuff like that are all going to be deadly. If you put Bison on his back, it could be a wrap. Like that character still suffers when you pressure him. He can fight with the light. You know, he's got the 3-frame. He's got the reversal. We'd rather not spend resources like V-Bar on things like that. So and someone like Torimeshi is just so flighty. He's so mobile compared to other Sim players. He's always doing something. He's always back dashing, forward dashing. He's always floating. So it's gonna be hard for even someone like Inaba to pin him down. But we talk about Inaba being like one of the most technical Bisons in the business. We've seen him have new options. I feel like every single time he shows up on the screen. So we'll see how this matchup flows. We'll see if Inaba has something for him or if Torimeshi is ready to route this matchup back in a different sort of way.
Really excited to see it too, because again, you've talked about it earlier. This is a matchup that you feel Dawson doesn't excel in as much, but again, with the utilization of V-Shift, I want to see if that really changes the dynamic between the two characters, and I want to see like what it takes to find the counters against each other at this level between Inaba and Torimeshi, because I don't get to watch too much of either of these players, to be quite honest with you. So it's really fun to watch, just like both of these players, one, get the spotlight, two, get to demonstrate their ability to play the character and how they actually play the character. Because I think in this season of Street Fighter V, we really get to see like the personalities come out in regards to like how they play their character.
Right. I think it also changes the matchups too. You know, people that are gonna be a little bit more aggressive might falter in some matchups, but might do better in some matchups. Maybe it like slightly moves the needle cases. Maybe it moves it a little bit more. And again, the V-shift system helps out Sim. That's the character that's been able to survive against the worst of the worst matchups we've seen in year after, or not year after year, but like nation after nation, area after area. When Sim players go up against matchups that they don't typically do well, they're able to still stay solid because that character is just a very solid character in general. So it's something we see up in EU, but the playstyles are so different from the likes of Problem X and Mr. Crimson and things like that. It's gonna be way different than what we see from over here. So I'm curious to see how it's gonna operate out here in Japan, Torimeshi and Inaba.
And from what it looks like on paper, from a very like shallow perspective, I think, you know, you talk about Dictator having a very slow walk speed. He has great advancing normals, but you'd have to be in the position to do so in the first place. To kind of compensate for that, he does have access to a scissor kick. So one of the things you're looking for is trying to weave around Dalsum's normals, trying to time it correctly so that you can close the gap and keep it a close range fight. So Bison can do that. So it's up to Torimeshi to keep his limbs as ambiguous as possible in regards to timing, which one he's using. And we see already Inaba closing the gap, being aggressive as he can be. Torimeshi had to utilize that V-reversal very, very early just to get Inaba off of his back. But already back into the corner. Still.
Brick rush, down for fierce interruption. Torimeshi calls it out. I like that. Seeing the rhythm and gets the side switch. Now the pressure is applied. The throw, some damage too. And look at that deep dish with that. Oh, look at this pressure just in general. The anti right there. Dive kick. Keep on the plus frames. Inaba not able to find a gap. You don't typically see this. Look at the side switch too for Torimeshi. Again, flighty. Oh, the trade benefits him.
What had happened?
He can't
Like,
dash it.
we started the round off with Inaba having a significant life lead, having all the pressure, putting Torimeshi in the corner. And I feel like one sequence, Torimeshi was like, all right, well, I'm going to just get out of here and win.
I will just simply win. I will just simply take advantage. But I mean, I feel like it's just like a lot of these call outs on these buttons and things like that. Everything down for fierce. Torimeshi getting, or I'm sorry, Inaba getting red. Torimeshi has been checking out his actions. Game situation, has to use the bar to get in. But look at that, put up in the corner, and Torimeshi makes the most of this. The tag and the activation eats him up. Now eats him up. The Gale.
Oh my God. Help. Help. Somebody send some help for Inaba. Please, Torimeshi is making mincemeat out of him. Look, I gotta say, there's been very similar starts for Inaba. Right, being able to apply pressure close to Torimeshi. I'd imagine, you know, Dalsum players kind of freak out when it comes to close quarters combat, but I forget. Dalsum is actually quite offensive up close. I forget that he can actually duke it out pretty consistently up close. So, my bad. My bad. That's not the game plan. Stay as far away as possible.
Honestly, I wasn't really expecting this point from Torimeshi to be able to be so confident in the close range. Just overall, I mean, that takes a lot of work. And he takes advantage of being, you know, putting Inaba up in the corner. We'll see if Inaba can stay in to get the win and call out these buttons a little bit better, because I feel like he's getting rather down for fierce too often. Those slides, low profile on that button. Inaba trying to build up as much power as possible. Trying to find a way in with the E-scissor kick.
I love that. Yo, that's so smart from Torimeshi. The way he's utilizing his movement options to get some of these awkward reset situations against Inaba and get punishes have been very consistent across the board. Not even just in this matchup, but in like matchups prior weeks with Inaba. I love him backing away. He still has trigger on deck as well in case he needs it. He's not going to go for an activation. That was sick.
I like that. EX Inferno. Yeah, get rid of that EX Fireball mix-up that is placed up on the screen. It's like a feature in and of itself, but Torimeshi still has one more in stock. These teleports, caught him coming in. Torimeshi with that movement, that's movement. It's not over yet, though. Inaba's still in the lead. Scissor kick.
I think he's going to be just fine. 18 seconds on the clock. He does have V-reversal. He does have V-shift as well. He also has the Yoga Fireball, the Yoga Fire, stocked up V-skill 1 as well. And I love that, yo, Inaba playing it to his wits. I love the fact that he's holding on to V-Gauge a lot more often in this matchup than he was in the prior game, or in this game in regards to the prior game. So I'm loving this change up from Inaba thus far.
Really didn't get to see him utilize it, and he was getting pressure from the corner. A lot more defense on the deck, he pointed out. And the blast connects, puts him down into the east side of the screen. No Inferno, though. Tormeshi calling that out, using that fireball as a bait. Beat it, but catches him leaving. On the activation, the grip.
The defense is there, the coverage there also from Tormeshi afterwards. On to the other side, what happens now? Inaba is going to get punished severely. Yes, sir. That was a critical error for Inaba. Coming through, committing to the second Inferno.
Scissor kick still able to challenge Tormeshi. Even those plus situation, knew at the distance he could fight back. And again, it's just him picking at these situations. Like you see Inaba trying to back off, gets him with the medium punch before he can leave. Yeah. All that damage just racks up and then gives Tormeshi the lead. Uh-oh. Gets in, Inferno situation, attack, fierce blast. That football situation, as we pointed out, been helping him out. Getting punishes.
Tormeshi is doing a phenomenal job of calling out some of these sequences. Even though he's taking damage from it, he still gets the better exchange because he gets the punish on the way down, right? So Tormeshi now. And I love the call out, man. I was gonna say Tormeshi with his offense has been so on point, but Inaba with the defensive stand jab against the drill is so important. But now he's gonna get cooked up. This is gonna be so problematic. St. Cole, have you noticed? Anytime Inaba pops that V trigger, Tormeshi gets extremely offensive.
It's that preventative health. An apple a day keeps a V trigger away. Stopping that grip before it can come through. That's what you should do. I like that he's challenging, knowing that Inaba's tendency to go for a light and command grab too often has been catching him. And it's just these calls from Tormeshi that, in addition to the flip outs, in addition to the movement, hasn't worked out every single time, but it's worked out enough to keep Inaba off his game, has given us game point for Tormeshi. And I did not expect this at all. I'm going to be 100% real. I thought Inaba was going to come through and even make this close, but right now, don't have to make the comeback. Back though, that'd be commentator's curse.
See how it plays out. Inaba already off to a fantastic start. Pretty similar to game number one, and also pretty similar of game number one. Tormeshi completely turning the tides off of a side switch. It came via throw, actually multiple throws. Now Inaba does get the air-to-air exchange. Fighting himself out of the corner, 2 bars as well. And I love the stop from Tormeshi, fully anticipating the EX scissor kicks. No plus frames for you.
Eruption again, stays in front, the reversal. Dive kick for the plus frames. He is getting cooked up like a barbecue. Oh, yeah, definitely. Almost through. One more hit will do it. The Gale V shift. Light punish. Doesn't overextend. We see that from Inaba now. Not going for too many buttons because that would have gotten clipped and killed. So Inaba in the corner. EX gets a little bit of a knockdown, but again, Tormeshi is just so ready. Set point with Sim against Bison. What's going on?
Inaba tried to press a button after an instant air yoga Gale, not the best position to be in. But again, Inaba, he gets the big exchange, he gets the big initiations on a lot of these games, just isn't able to close it out or keep Tormeshi contained.
Change the timeline. I like that anti with the light. We've seen that again against the drill. He's getting a little more confident with that button. You go side switch. That Great Life is rising. Slide, not surprising to see. Gets a little hit right there. He's at the super at the bottom. Base got active, could come through in the clutch. He gets enough damage to do so.
Inaba looking for a whiff punish. He is within the whiff punish range if Tormeshi decides to overcommit. And I love this from Tormeshi, slowly but surely closing the gap. That's a forward throw. What happens now? Try to get a throw bait. That would have been base got Agni if he had got it, but the back throw instead from Inaba, catching Tormeshi slipping. Trying to stay alive. He needs to get this game. He absolutely does, because you do not want to be shut out 40-0 with no games on the board.
And to that, you want to have that aggression. We want to have that momentum rocking in these next rounds. Even just in general, like, hey, I can do this, I can win. The situation, that's like a feature. It just puts you in a make situation. Slide, catches him leaving with the 8-piece. Oh my God. In the medium again, all these hits adding up to dealing out the damage to Inaba. Caught in the corner. How's your defense? Like down 4 fierce. Again, the hottest win. Wake up super situation lands it. and puts him in the Oki. This is beneficial for Inaba.
After that, reversal, Torimeshi willing to give up the V-trigger one. One more touch, and Torimeshi catches the throw bait against Inaba with instant air gale. The smile on his face, he's a dirty man. He knows what he did. He knows what he did.
Man, oh man, Torimeshi making me rethink that matchup because, sheesh, the pressure that's put on you'd expect that from Bison. You expect Bison to come through with the scissor kicks and the stomps and things like that, but it did not happen like that. What happened was Torimeshi taking advantage of these defensive situations, staying with that movement and movement, continuously applying pressure, and even if Inaba left, and even if Inaba had backed off, he hit him with a immediate punch, and all that damage added up to the destination of a 40-point baller out here for FAV Gaming. Fantastic play from the entire team, but I am very impressed with Torimeshi. I was gonna go on this whole thing about how Tokido he's back in business and stuff like that, and you got top 8 at CPT, but Torimeshi cooked the competition today, doing fantastic against Inaba.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, Inaba, for his credit, I think he did a phenomenal job of opening up every round, and then as soon as Torimeshi got the side switch, it was lights out. Like that's literally been the theme, I think, for all 3 games. Really, in the beginning, like the opener for every round. I think there has to be something amongst the team to tell Inaba, like, hey man, this is something I've noticed. I think once you get the life lead, I think if anything, you should probably try to back away, or at least like anticipate movement as an option from Torimeshi to like get yourself ready for it. Like a lot of players do that too, right? If they get a knockdown, they apply their meaty, and then they start to like slowly back away instead of trying to like continue their offense. They're anticipating like maybe like a jump out or like something wild like an EX. A lot of players have been doing that quite often in like midway through the game's lifespan. I think Inaba, if he had been checking it just a little bit more, being a little bit more cognizant of it, especially because it's Dawson, right? Pretty slippery. I think he would have found a little bit more success in that matchup.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think there should have been more on defense in general. Besides, like Super was great, but like, what about like V shift? We saw that come out a little bit more. V reversal towards the very end, but it's just again too late. And before those situations can even start, V shift, V break, do things like that to keep that character away. I feel like you don't really need V trigger to beat Sim. That really didn't even come into play. In fact, it felt like it got him in trouble. But let's go to the interview. Sako saying Crusher, it's been a while since he played against him. It was a close match, but he's glad that he won this. And Bonchan said, I'm glad the team won and he wasn't in reserve this time. I'm sure his team was glad to see him pull out that Sagat play to counterpick everything that Storm Kubo wanted to do today. So that was great to see that Sagat come through the king, and Bonchan getting another win on the board, not only for his team but for himself.
I think almost everything, really. I think there was like so much to be said in regards to like how much Bonchan had practiced for that matchup specifically. It's kind of scary because you don't see a lot of Abigails anymore, but in Abigail's prime, I totally understand like why like some of the things he had practiced would have been like kind of just, you know, riding a bicycle. He's just like right back on it. He's just looking at what can happen with either V skill. But luckily for him, right, it was just a matter of going up against V skill 2 times over. I think there's a lot to be said in regards to like what Storm Kubo is about, and also a lot to what Bonchan has practiced prior. So good showing for both, really.
And also says against Kubo, he's a huge character. New Sagat would be a good character against that pick, and he's glad to have won and looks forward to getting more wins. I believe there was a time, I believe this was before COVID, that Bonchan had said that he loses a lot to Itabashi when Itabashi's running a lot of Abigail. So I feel like having those years of practice and years of preparation after losing that person continuously in casuals is like, okay, now I'm ready to prepare. So I have to get my notebook out, short what I have to do to get those W's. Tokido was in reserve today, but he's glad that Bonchan won. I would have liked to see what Tokido did, because I feel like his Luke has gotten a lot more solidified, but that just means he's going to be an even more dangerous threat throughout the season as we get to the next part, or this halfway part, I should say. I'm curious to see how Tokido's going to play that new more aggressive style of Luke we saw at CPT. I'm like super excited to see how he's going to play. But even though he didn't play today, he's still giving words of encouragement for his team, and now they're focusing on Torimeshi. I'm so curious to see what Torimeshi's saying in terms of his game plan. I'm sure it's a lot about aggression, a lot about a movement. I want to hear why he did like 5 teleports at the other side of the screen for a good couple of seconds, but we're gonna get that real soon.
Yeah, I mean, like he's found. I think, you know, in regards to the decision making behind like teleports, instant air teleport isn't gonna yield like too much damage against them. Like, sure, you can get punished, but also getting the side switch out is pretty important for someone like Dawson, for any Dawson players really. So I think like that is, although it's pretty shallow for me to like analyze it in that way, I think that had to be it. Like his main objective was to just like get out of the corner. But we are getting the winning interview from Torimeshi. He was talking about his matchup practice specifically against Dictator. He had been practicing with Ogi-san. I don't know specifically who Ogi-san can be or is, but he says he has been working on the Vega match or the Dictator match. That's pretty much like the standard, as we could expect from most player interviews, is that they've practiced against XYZ. They've studied against this matchup for so long. But there was a little bit of a rebuttal from the commentators. I don't know if it was Aru or Hamiko, but they had asked Torimeshi, he's like, you know, or they had remarked saying, you know, Torimeshi, you seem to be playing Anchor a lot. I don't know if that's like for the home side or the away side, so I'll check that out. But Torimeshi, he responded with, yeah, but I don't really get nervous at all. So I do like that mentality, you know, like having a character like Dawson being like the main counter picker too for the anchor position is so important.
Yeah, I mean, having just that confidence in the anchor position is going to be really important because your team's riding on you. That's a lot of pressure. But Torimeshi, always been a strong competitor. I mean, if you watch his streams, like it's continuously amount of like high amount of like win streaks, like 65 win streaks and stuff like that. Just casually smoking people, talking to chat. So I think with that kind of energy, that kind of confidence that we saw on his stream, like now we see that in the anchor match, and like that, man, just look at the anti-air, 77% on the side of Torimeshi. He was definitely keeping Bison out, which is really difficult to do. I feel like with the EX bar, and we didn't even see like the slide anti-air against EX Devil's Reverse, which you can do. It's kind of a hard call out, but him not letting Bison come in was kind of the name of the game and kind of setting his own pace continuously. Because when Bison does have EX bar, that is when he is going to try to start his approach, his oppression. Otherwise, he challenges dash that we saw continuously. Zinaba got checked over and over again. But if he has EX bar, you're looking for EX scissor kick, looking for EX stomp and stuff like that. But good for him to call out those situations and just even the normal jump ins too as well.
Yeah, we see the stats as good of a percentage that Inaba has in all of the stats that we talk about, anti-airs, EXDP, grabs and successful attacks. It's, you know, it's more than just like the numbers game, right? He had a fantastic start in each and every one of the games, each and every one of the rounds too. It's just a matter of staying consistent. I will say, like, to his credit, his utilization of V-Gauge in like the middle of the set as a defensive tool, more so than trying to initiate like trigger and apply pressure. I think that's like one of the big moments, or that's one of the big strategies you need to use against Dawson characters, or Dawson players, I should say. So I do like that strategy implemented. I would love to see him get that run back against Torimeshi, but we'll see if that even happens. Again, it is pretty much the conclusion for week 7 for at least these teams. We still have another set to go, but let's take a look at how it went through before we get into that second half.
And Sako and Birdie, and Sako and Birdie, Sako and Crusher. I mean, Crusher is really the premier Birdie, I feel like, up in Japan. They haven't played in a while, but you definitely see that Sako is ready, prepared in terms of changing his oppression and his approach. We saw that Crusher came through with like the 4 fears to eliminate some of these buttons and things like that, get the EX bar for that knockdown, but just Sako with these defensive tactics and just backing away when need be. That's such an important thing, backing away when need be, waiting for activations and things like that, going them to do things where we can find punishes. But again, Crusher had some great moments, had those command grabs, you know, to blow up the defense of Sako, forcing Sako to back off quite a bit, and this was just so unfortunate, timeout situation, allowing Crusher to stay in. And then we see Crusher pressuring Sako in the corner, but it's, again, Crusher just allowing, you know, all this pressure, but I feel like he overextended too much. Too many times you can see him waste bar, especially at the very end. On the other hand, Sako saving that bar for the chip, being able to get the victory, was how he got that W. What do we see here, though, Vicious?
Yeah, so we saw the utilization of V-Skill 2 a lot to Storm Kubo's detriment, really. Like, he was calling in tire more often than not to kind of contest against Sagat's fireball game initially, but Bonchan had solved that mystery out pretty much like round 1, right? We've seen a lot of deliberation going into game number 2. He had jumped in so many times on Storm Kubo, pretty much blowing up that V skill, and you just see the big counterpoke game and the big fireball game that Bonchan presents. It's just so tough to navigate around. Storm Kubo is trying to use so much armor over and over again. And that Fierce just wasn't gonna hack it, right? We see so much coming from Storm Kubo, just trying to take advantage of the fact that Abigail does have armor, and Bonchan immediately blowing it up. What happened in the final game between these two teams, Ryan?
What happened was a blow up in terms of what I thought was a matchup that was going to be in favor of Bison, or at least Inaba getting some more rounds on the board, more games on the board. But it seemed like Torimeshi was just too much with that pressure and approach, and also just challenging a lot of what Inaba wanted to do. As we pointed out, its early game was looking great for Inaba early in the rounds, but something would just happen where it'd be like a switch in terms of like aggression and approach, or a back throw that would put him in the corner. Torimeshi just adding up the damage. Like, if you're gonna leave, you're gonna get hit with this medium. And the mixes that would come through. Bar usage too on the side of Torimeshi. He used the EX Fireball to really knock down Inaba, and Inaba not using that V-bar for defense, trying to use it for offense, but we really didn't see that many V-trigger situations really lead to victory. What we see is Torimeshi taking that big W against a character that, again, I thought was going to be slightly better, in this match, but it just didn't happen. As Torimeshi's style just did not work against what Inaba wanted to do. And just, again, Inaba not able to close things out. Look at this pressure continuously. Something you would typically see from Bison is coming through from Sim, who's aggressively zoning out Bison. Man, what a match for Torimeshi.
There were some blatant call-outs from Torimeshi as well, being able to jump out of certain pressure situations from Inaba. Inaba would start off with like a heavier normal, trying to catch maybe like chip damage, maybe gray health. But there were moments, a couple of moments actually, where Torimeshi had jumped out preemptively to kind of get those reset situations. He's done that like at least 4 or 5 times in that set. I've lost count, but either way, that was such an important factor. That was such a big tell that Torimeshi was absolutely ready for that specific matchup. But that's how it rolls out. V6 plus FAV Gaming, 40 points. Pretty significant in regards to how they performed from week 6, also from week 5. This is something they really needed to push themselves up in the leaderboards. And I gotta say, I'm taking a look at my notes right now. They are currently now at 130 points, putting themselves over Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto temporarily, right? We still have another match to play for the rest of week 7, day 2, between Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto and Good 8 Squad.
Good 8 Squad taking the top spot. Something we typically saw last season is happening here. A lot closer than what we saw last season, I do feel like, too, as well. The Good 8 Squad, which is such a well-rounded team, well-rounded cast of characters and players. It's going to be definitely difficult for them to be taken down, but it can happen. Saishunkan Seoul Kumamoto does have the winner child, Hoguchi, sitting in their wings. The winner of CPT, Wolf Warrior 3, could come through for that victory if need be to clear up for the team, but I don't want to even say the less from or lacking in terms of Nemo and the rest of the group too as well. So this could be a big upset as we get closer and closer to closing out this first half of Street Fighter League Japan 2022.
Really excited to see what's going to happen also in the World Warrior events as we get closer and closer to the month of December, man. There's just so many groups, so many different talented communities that are really showing up, and I think that's like one of the coolest things that the Capcom has done in recent years, being able to open up that many spots for Capcom Cup, resulting in probably one of the biggest brackets we'll ever have in a big standoff. So really excited to see it. I need more details for that. Also need more details for Street Fighter 6. If you guys can pass that along quickly and quietly towards either of us, I would love that. But as it stands right now, again, everybody that's been showing support for Street Fighter League all across the pond, all across the world, really, Europe, US, and Japan, again, everything is taken into consideration. These guys over at Capcom is really taking their ears to the streets, and also to your tweets. You see it at Capcom_esports, at Capcom Fighters. These guys are very much so listening to everybody's feedback. Positive, negative, trolling or not, these guys know all about it. And I'm pretty sure, they all, the producers are definitely in tune with that. And as you can see right now, we've talked about World Warrior. The next one It's going to be happening in November. And then we also have the 5th one. Their schedule is a little bit different from everybody else's. They started a little bit late, but they have their 5th and final qualifier happening in December, as well as their big dance-off on Christmas Day. By the way, it'll be a nice little present to see who makes it into Capcom Cup.
Yo, that's ridiculous. Your present is to make it to the Capcom Cup. You couldn't wish for anything better. And you can't wish for anything better in terms of Street Fighter V action out here at Street Fighter League Japan. When we return from the break, which is coming up real soon, it's going to be Saishun Console, Kumamoto going up against Good 8 Squad. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have more action coming your way.
そして YouTube、Twitch の各チャンネル登録、Twitter のフォローも合わせてよろしくお願いいたします。さあ、この後は試合準備のため休憩に入らせていただきます。21時20分からは第7節 Day2 マッチ2最春カンソル熊本対グッド8スクワットの模様をお届けしてまいります。それでは一旦失礼いたします。
ご安全にな。
お、新入りかな。うん、 いい顔に撮れてるじゃないか。改めて担当教官のルークだ。よろしくな。
始めるとしよう。勝負だ。投票入りでごわす。手加減は期待しないでくれ。よく来る。おい、ちょうだけじゃ。
Here comes a new challenger. Fighter 6. Scrap heap. Ready. Start.
We're live with that Street Fighter 5, and I do mean live. Street Fighter League starts now as we get into the second half of the season. But before we do that, we have to see Good 8 Squad go up against Saishun, Console, Kumamoto. My name is Senko, and I am Dwell Vicious, my dog. How are you feeling about what we're about to see?
Well, pretty exciting considering Good 8 Squad is going to be delivering the big-time ballers. The Hiroshima Predators starting things off with that Gachikun. We got Rashid coming in. I had to think about that for a reason. I'm like, wait a minute. He is the captain, right? The Cosmic Boxer also following up Pugera with Balrog, and Kawano, the current EVO champion, coming through with Colleen. And of course, the winning devil himself, Dogra, coming in with Dictator, aka Bison, aka Vega. However you want to spin it, wherever you're from, either way, it's gonna be that main for that man. Going into it again, Good 8 Squad currently sitting in first place with a whopping 215 points. Good God, that's a lot.
Wow, on the dot, but they'll have to stay fine against a team like Sai Shooting Console Kumamoto because they have the Violence for himself, the Brute King, Nemo coming through first and foremost with that Falk and Yuri if need be. Then there's a Prodigy, the Wonder Child himself, Gucci, with that Guile, the top spot. Then you have the Little Devil, Shuto, acclimating, deliberating how to utilize this new Urian, this new meta. And after that is the Monk himself, YHC Mochi, coming through with that sim situation. This team is super powerful. Despite the fact that Good 8 has a lot on their squad, Sai Shooting Console might have something to say today, especially as Team Soul has Higuchi, who has recently won the World Warrior this last weekend. And I'll tell you, when I looked at that, the schedule, I was like, I'm watching him play throughout Street Fighter League. I'm like, he could definitely get it done. I was like, he's one of my picks. There's a lot of picks people can have, but I think he was one of my picks, and those are able to do it. So already sitting with a winning record. Let's see what Good 8 Squad sends up. Rashid, Bison, and Colleen. What do you think about these picks, Vicious?
Yeah, so it's gonna be like a solid set of players no matter what. I think, you know, Pugera being benched for this week, he had a little bit of a rough showing, I think, from last week, if I'm not mistaken, right? Falling just shy of taking at least 2 games against Mizuha. He was in that final position for the anchor, so I totally get Good 8 Squad kind of like putting him on ice for just a little bit. So either way you spin it, I think Good 8 Squad is gonna have a solid squad regardless. You know, Rashid, Bison, Colleen. It's such a wide spread of different play styles that the other team has to get acclimated to. So I think now the question is for Sai Shunkan Soul Kumamoto, how do you even go about trying to counter it? I can tell there's a little bit of like friendly banter amongst like Team Soul, but also some of the banter being directed towards Good 8 Squad from what it looks like. But I'd imagine Shuto is going to be the first one coming up on deck.
Looks like that's confirmed. You're correct. And Shuto coming through is different than what we saw Hamako and Aru kind of discussing previously. They were thinking maybe Nemo coming through with the Falk, because Falk has been doing fantastic against Rashid out here at Street Fighter League Japan. However, Shuto has been defying expectations with this character. I mean, honestly, Urian is a character people have left to the side, but Shuto, his defensive style has allowed him to stay solid with this character, and we saw him get second place at this weekend's World Warrior in Japan. And not only that, he's been a top 8 placer just in general, already sitting pretty at the top 8 spot in terms of the World Warrior seating. So with this character that's been weakened, it's Shuto's been outplaying a lot of people. So maybe that's the reasoning. Even though the matchup may not be so good, it's Shuto might be able to outplay someone like Gachikun.
Oh, I'd love to know what it is about like Shuto and their decision to even put him up first in this particular matchup. He had a good amount to say, I'd imagine, but going in from the side of Gachikun first, in regards to what he had said, he had mentioned that Shuto has been playing so well, and the entire team doing the same thing. Today, he's going to try to stop that. He wants to try to take away all the momentum away from the young man and the rest of the team. Sai Shunkan Soul Kumamoto, again, when you references how well they're doing, well, let's take a look at what the leaderboard looks like. I think Sai Shunkan Soul Kumamoto currently is sitting in 5th place with 110 points. No, actually, currently in 6th as V6 had taken over. But it's still not a shabby spot to be in within top 6, right? With at least breaking the 100 point threshold is pretty important. But as it stands right now, I think you have a very valid point. I think Shuto has done an amazing job of showing that this character is still completely viable in the right hands. Like, Shuto is is the ideal Urien, according to Tokido. Tokido had even mentioned that Shuto has the Urien playstyle that he actually wants to try to emulate, because he is currently like the strongest force when it comes to Urien players thus far. Although being 2 out of 5, having a 40% win rate, that doesn't spell out like everything, right? That's still him getting acclimated to all the players, right? The same could be said for the rest of the teams that have, or the rest of the players that haven't done so well, but there's still plenty more games to play.
I think that also leads into the fact that, him, getting that first win at the CPT, like utilizing that Urien is so strong. I feel like that put a target on his back, which has happened for a lot of these players where it's like, oh, this player's kind of acted up. I'm saying this player's actually kind of strong. So I think that also kind of put people's game plans to like, we have to prepare for Urien. We have to prepare for someone like Shuto, who's more in the defensive sort of style. And Shuto says when he fought Gachikun, people were saying that Urien cannot win against Rashid. So I'm guessing Shuto's like, I will show people that is wrong, that I can still take this character down, even with the nerfs that have happened to Urien, even without the EX headbutt as a reversal, even without my buttons being as powerful as they used to be in terms of being more whip punishable. If they hit, they're still going to hurt. So I'm sure that Shuto is going to showcase that, and having a more defensive Urien might help out. V-shift and a V-break and things like that, or even V-shift punishes will help out against Rashid's whirlwind pressure. So we'll see that come into play, but cannot downplay someone like Gachikun, who has been very technical with his Rashid play throughout the years. He'll always find cool punishes and stuff, so it'd be hard to fight someone like Gachikun. No typical Rashid right there.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. I think he's in regards to defense, both of these players have probably like the top-notch defense in regards to like everybody else in Japan, but Gachikun has been some of the he's been like one of the biggest gatekeepers of all people, and it really shows. And I don't mean it in a sense of like gatekeeping in terms of results. Like he's literally stopping you more often than not with the amount of normals he presses in each round so consistently. This man has been like a defensive wall for years and years and years, and it's so wild to even like say that, because it's mostly through like button presses more so than like his positioning on the screen. Like him just like, instead of like him just bullying you by walking, he is harassing you with normals so often.
And so constantly too, is like, it's the confidence in the buttons. So he doesn't really have to utilize that movement that Rashid has. That's really great, right? But it's the confidence in those button presses, the confidence in placing this here and there, to stay aware, to get these crush counters with the corner carries, things like that, to find the maximum amount of reward. And that defense backs all that up. So if he gets to a sticky situation, even with the EXDP not being a free reversal like it used to be, not even like it's free reversal, but an actual reversal, now is a lot slower. It's still an option he can utilize if they're not staying meaty with it. And he has other wake-up options like V-shift, V-break. We've seen him use V-reversal against like V-trigger Luke and stuff like that. So all those defensive tactics, along with the confidence of buttons, allows him to stay a threat with his character. And again, Rashid's still a threat up in every season. That character, I feel like, can never be nerfed because he always works well with the system. But it takes a strong player to pilot that character no matter what. It takes a while to understand the nuances of the character. So it's not just easy pick up and play.
Like it never has been with some of these characters. Even like, all jokes aside, when we talk about characters that have been like the topic of that kind of conversation, Luke, for example, we haven't seen like any stellar performances from the Luke players just yet, right? But that's going to be a topic for another time. It's going to be Urien versus Rashid, piloted by Shuto versus Gachikun.
I'm so curious to see what Shuto's going to have in the bag for someone like Gachikun, for someone like that's running this Rashid play. When every time a player says like, I have something for this character, I want to show them something, they're going to show us some new tech. So I'm curious to see what Shuto has for us. Can he get to the walls of the buttons? Will he find these buffers up to meet him and get the corner carry? Will be the opposite of the way. Oh, already starting off strong with a 3-piece and a Batista bomb throw. Into the corner you go. Wakes up with the fears. It's a crush too.
How did that even happen?
Don't know. So confident.
With violent knee drops past the whirlwind. Shuto doing a fantastic job of trying to play the counter poke game as well. I like him peppering in some of the coral kicks just in case, too, from far away. We see Gachikun actually overstepping his boundaries, too, actually trying to get a jump in going against Shuto, thinking he's going to be mainly focused on the ground game. The mental sack hasn't been significant enough for him to not be aware of that.
Look at that jump back, yo, Shuto! So ready with it. That jump back fierce, but it's not over yet. Gachikun has the bar at the bottom for the B trigger. V-Trigger 2 to enhance these situations, to put on more pressure. Activation, yeah, he didn't want to overextend to get that win. Gosh, who knows? Would have got clipped, it would have been over. Got the bar at the bottom for the super.
Oh, that's so smart, yo. Shuto with the proper reactions against the enhanced whirlwind shot from V-Trigger 2.
Oh, he just ran that raw. Actually was able to get that hit too as well. Ochikun coming out, fortunate right here, and now puts him in the corner. The defense is tested, the light. Blessing him with that situation and the back throw.
We see Shuto knowing full well that a lot of these things that Gachikun is trying to do haven't been the most honest, right? Some of these whirlwind shots have been questioned, and now he's gonna pay the full price. The mirror, that first one, does find the mark. We got the mix coming in. Gachikun, he tried to hold on for dear life for as long as possible. Into a mix again. No jump back from Gachikun. Now he gets to activate trigger. A single confirm, actually a single medium confirm could probably lead to a death situation.
Oh. One of the EXD as much as possible. Try to increase that cranium. But Gachikun's going to spend to win right here. Yes, sir. Go for the super to seal it. Stay in the game. There was one touch situation on the other side of things. Is able to stay a little more solid, but not for nothing. Shuto, as you pointed out, able to find the gaps to react and find a way not only out of the corner, but get some damage. We saw the jump back fears, light punches. Gachikun has to stabilize things a little bit more and leave less gaps. Tighten it up.
We'll see if that happens. And it's so tough, man. Like trying to stay alive off of like a full sequence or against the full sequence that Gachikun needs like, from critical art is so tough. It's so intimidating.
That EX headbutt anymore. Nothing to really worry about on the side of Gachikun. Why he can harass like that. Dash up throw. Puts the cleats on him.
We see again a lot of the counter picks being part of the game plan from Shuto. With the violent knee drop. Checking a delayed off with the crouching medium.
The version trigger too.
Oh! Yeah, you had mentioned it.
Activate
2 on the deck for Gachikun. We're going to see that route eventually off of the V skill.
EX trade with activation. You can't jump against Urian. And that'll be the end, my friend. EX connects the chariot tackle. How many times have we seen people jump back away from Shuto? He's like, that's the play I want. You've entered my lair, and I will feast. Shuto. Showing why Urian is still strong, it's still going along out here at Street Fighter League. It's all, not all because of, but part of that V-trigger is still ridiculous.
Yeah, even being nerfed in regards to like the startup of it, it's still super reliable as an anti-air tool, being able to react to it, but you have to be able to react to it. Like you have to be used to those situations in the first place. And Shuto, very much so aware that, you know, Gachikun has been choosing movement more often than not to get out of these sticky situations. In fact, we had talked about this earlier, like what was going to be the guess from Gachikun when it was like a guess for game scenario after like the second mirror, and it was jump. He had utilized jump more often than not as a defensive measure against Shuto's pressure. So very good awareness from the side of Shuto, being able to catch that small detail and implement the big counter pretty early, actually, in game 1.
That's been the name of the game. I think overall, those small, minute details, like calling these things out, we saw in between the whirlwind shots, the light into the EX chariot tackle, not only getting some damage, but just leading him outside the corner. And then EX knee drop as well to be able to have movement on the side of Shuto to try to get the crouch fierce or just stay out of bad situations. Shuto showing what Urian can do this season. It's up a game.
See the whirlwind shots coming out for Gachikun. A couple times off, a couple times over. I was gonna say he might get punished for it, but gets out of the way. Also following up with the V skill and back to this interesting exchange now from Shuto from both players. Really, EX tackle, V shift out of there. Doesn't want to get involved with anything Gachikun has to present.
And puts up that great life too as well. Next hit's gonna hurt a lot harder. Trying to fight back with the fireball. It's easier to do if he doesn't have the armor. Walk up though from Shuto. Confidence. We're talking about confidence on the side of Gachikun, but Shuto able to walk in. Commentator's curse. This is kind of the worst. Put back in the back to mid-screen. In the jump in. Oh, coast to coast, we can get the ghost with bar at the bottom. You know what he wants? Activation.
Oh, who expected that? Who actually expected that? EX Eagle Spike out of the corner. I mean, like, I think, you know, closer to the corner he would have done it, but not in that instance.
Yeah. Like a horror film. Surprise! Out of the bushes.
I mean, like, it's the right time to do it.
Right?
I mean, like, especially with Halloween season. So totally understandable. Shuto gonna have to hold that surprise for the next round. We see a lot more activity from, or at least try to see crouching heavy punch a little bit more from Gachikun. No whiff punish from the whiff throw against Shuto.
You kick challenging him, coming in. A lot more of the buttons, a lot more confidence back with the buttons from Gachikun, where he would like to play his game. And again, hard to counter poke in these distances. You're worried about fears. Beat kick sets up shop, the walk up throw to make him drop. Shuto trying to walk in, but not again. Across the activation. And with a damn button, it's gonna hurt. V-Trigger 2 is a damage dealer in terms of damage in general for Rashid. The weather in the storm is Shuto.
It's so scary too. There's the activation off the coral kick, but it was actually a mid-air situation. Not too bad. Gets thrown into the mirror, the reset. Another throw. Look at how much damage has been taken out so far, but the mirror's finally gone. Just under 20 seconds left. Gachikun gets the V-skill activation. How does he do it? How does he actually do it? Not a lot of scaling involved for this one. But not a lot of damage either. Oh, not to kill at least. Oh, and the anti-air 100% ready. Gachikun again. His defense is remarkable.
Not for nothing, I mean, Shuto's defense has been fantastic to weather the storm and the V-Trigger. However, the fact that his defense on reverse, though, and his call-outs, too, as well, have been ridiculous. And enough to get him out of sticky situations. Even though that EX Eagle Spike was a little bit risky, it got him what it needed to get him. And these calls, these understandings of these moments from Shuto are getting him the W. And now we're game to game right here. V-skill right to the fireball to make him fall. And build up a little bit of V-bar and that corner carry. Round start is already getting scary.
Oh, and I love that whiff punish from Shuto, and it's so difficult to consistently get a whiff punish against that crouching heavy punch sometimes. Big crush counter now from Gachikun, and now he gets to maintain all this corner pressure, close to stun. He does get it. Shuto trying to press a button on wake up. He paid heavily for it. Gachikun now on match point in what seemed to look like in Shuto's favor with the way things started off.
I feel like Shuto just has to play a lot more perfect into these situations, managing the bar for movement or just to find a surprise cherry tackle. For Gachikun, more and more confident in the buttons. We don't really see him worried about whiffing too much like with crouch fierce and standing fierce. It's Shuto that is managing his buttons and the economy buttons spent a lot less, especially that crouch union kick that can be whip punished. Trying to fight back is Shuto, trying to get back to that mid screen. Would love to have a buffer off the mediums.
Still such a scary spot within the crouching heavy punch range and still being at the deficit technically. Oral kick, now it's going to be Gachikun pushing Shuto towards the corner primarily via medium kicks too. Shuto not being able to counter poke nor having an opportunity to whiff punish because again Gachikun has been keeping it tight knit just at the tip of majority of the normals he's thrown out. And Shuto trying to come in, he's trying to go in.
Here's Buffer, right here Shuto, trying to answer back. V-Trigger on the other side, Shuto backing away, knowing the activation could come through any point with the V-skill. And anti-air in time, EXCs is fine. Nice neutral jump, knew that there was gonna be an activation again, the call situation, and that's gonna give us the final game, final round after this done and done. Builds up the bar, like build the bar.
This. Speaking of bar down below, Shuto just shy of getting that critical art, a little bit over 50% on the third bar. Gachikun, however, has all the meter on his side of the playing field. Does get a big opener off of the stand jab. And now the throw already into the corner we go. Shuto is going to be facing a dire situation pretty soon if he doesn't get out of this corner.
This flow though from Gachikun. Crouch fierce again, crushing light kick situation. Oh, try to catch the whip, but got hit for his troubles. Medium mixer to the corner. 2 more good sequences should seal it. Then some of the EX bar to keep him locked down again. Tight knit situation. This is what you want, Gachikun. Don't let a gap happen like that, because this is what's gonna happen in activation. Side switch, corner station.
That's tough. That's tough. That's gonna be a good amount of damage. I cannot tell you if this will kill or not, and it won't. Okay, not too bad.
One mirror in the tank. The super. This should hit. Yes, sir, but not enough to make him quit. Not enough. Got to be still in the lead. He's still going in. Still harassing. That's worried about that trigger.
Oh, boy.
Oh, you see him interrupt that with the light, the tip of the toes.
I like that. Oh, and it's gonna be Gachikun taking it with medium kick yet again. The great measuring tool, the out footsier. I gotta say that was it's so tough to navigate around Rashid's normals, and it's been prevalent like season after season after season. Standing medium kick is such a great measuring tool to measure what, like, if it's out of range, like just a little bit shy, it's within range for like crouching heavy punch. It's kind of nasty.
Yeah. So worried about trying to outpoke that button. You're so worried about trying to hit your own medium, and then they just swing standing fierce, crouch fierce, right in that distance to get the crush counter follow up, and that just leads to like a V skill follow up to the corner where you don't want to be. And Shuto's defense is broken down by Gachikun's great offensive play. But even then, I gotta talk about like the great defensive Gachikun to weather the V-trigger situations that were happening, to stay solid. The interruption with the immediate crouch light kick to stop that activation from happening, that could have been a tie turner right there in terms of that V-trigger, that second mirror, but it wasn't enough to do it. And Gachikun, enough to take it right there. And continues him on the anti-airs, 3 for 3 in terms of anti-airs. That was really impressive to call out the EX, dive kick. I almost said dive kick. E-knee drop. Might as well be a dive kick. I thought that he got hit with one of them, but I guess not. I could have sworn that he get a jump in, but there were not as many anti-airs from the side of situational anti-airs from the side of Shuto. Had to go for the super for that reversal because again, no EXDP this season, so for good reason you're gonna see that CA in play for Shuto. Great call up, but wasn't enough to do what you had to do, and that means Good 8 Squad up a game.
Yeah, Good 8 Squad continuing their dominant performance through and through, and it was a good call. I mean, like, I think Shuto being the first one up against Gachikun could have gone either way. I mean, it went down to the very last game, very last round, to a final sequence. So I loved seeing that from Shuto overall. Like, despite him not getting the 10 points for his team, I think it's still a good sign of what's to come in the run back. The next time they meet, though, it's going to be a different setting, right? Saishun Kansou Kumamoto is going to have to go to the away side for that second meeting. So I would love to see that run back. I would love to be fortunate enough to get that. Maybe we can, sneak that in there on Twitter and be like, hey, I'm going to add both these guys and be like, hey, Gachikun, can you, if Shuto is up on any certain part of like the board, can you just go ahead and counter him? I just want to see how that run back fares up. But as it stands right now, the second player up to bat is going to be Dogura, of course. We saw the player submission. Bison is going to be on deck, aka Dictator. And I believe Nemo is stepping up with Yurien this time.
Huh. This is a very strange pick. We saw how Sim could deal with Bison. But Dogura's definitely a different beast than Inaba. I feel like a lot more aggression, a little bit less tech on the deck, but his confidence with his buttons, confidence is kind of a big thing. But just when he calls out people's buttons, their approach, we saw that previously. It looks like he's a psychic because he interrupts you with scissor kick from downtown. I was like, how does he know when to land those hits, those specials and things like that? But Nemo is no stranger to the danger. I do feel like, though, that Yurien is weaker this season, and obviously you cannot be put on your back because you have no reversal like that. You still have great buttons, some of the neutral. You still have medium punch, crush, community kick, and things like that. A really fast dash that's hard to react to. And those jumping situations are going to be hard for Bison to deal with. Jump fierce, EXDs and stuff like that, if properly timed, are going to be not fine for Bison because he has to go for crouch fierce or hell attack to be predictive with it. So we'll see how this works out. Dogura, though, very strong competitor. Nemo looking to get some up on the board. I don't feel like we're even going to see the fault even from Nemo because that matchup not so good for Falk at all. Like Falk players just do not like seeing Bison on the screen, despite how well Fort Phils has done against someone like Problem X. I don't feel like we're gonna be seeing that character. Probably be seeing the Urian from Nemo.
I was gonna say, I think Falk does a pretty decent job against Bison. For the most part, I think, you know, in regards to like neutral, but obviously it's not going to be what's on the screen. We'll probably save that conversation for another time. But I think Falk does. I think like that exchange between the two are not too like heavily imbalanced for the most part. But Urian versus Bison, that's going to be a different story. I think also, you know, Urian's still able to occupy a lot of the mid-range space, at least counterpoke against Bison. But up close, I think it's a whole different story. I think Bison can pretty much harass Urian for as much as he wants to, if need be, up until the moment V-Trigger is available. I think, you know, I think if Dogura gets the knockdown, like as slow as Dogura likes to play, I think we might see a little bit more of an offensive-based Dogura for this particular matchup.
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to keep up pace with someone like Nemo. Like, just, you once said the character himself, like, Nemo loves to play a single-player game. He loves to play his own game, and damned if he wins, damned if he doesn't. He will definitely get aggressive with it as much as possible. And, like, that style maybe doesn't work that well for Urian. He's trying to make it work for his own sort of meta, his own sort of style. He's trying to find that sort of, like, that entry point. Obviously lost recently against Sako. We've talked about that before in the anchor match, the 3-0. So he's still trying to find how to work this new Urian and to fit his own style. Dogura says that he thought it was going to be Nemo. Mochi, I think he thought he was going to be Nemo. Urian won't make me feel sick. And Nemo says he's been working on the Bison matchup. So he's ready for this Bison matchup either way. Dogura is like, you know what, Urian? That's fine with me. I'll get that for free. He's like, that's A-okay. I'll definitely deal with that character. So Dogura also feels confident too up in this match. We talked about that. We talked about the fact that if Dogura gets aggressive, if he needs to, he can definitely keep up pace with someone like Nemo. So we'll have to see if Nemo has something different with the style. Is that aggressive Urian doesn't really work out as much. You have to have more defense. You don't have the EXDP like you used to. Defensive jabs have to come through like we saw with Shuto and with other Urian players. So you have to make these calls and call them out right.
See how that plays out. I think if Dogura manages to get like the offensive pressure early, I think that's going to be big trouble for Nemo. But who knows? Honestly, I think, you know, Dogura has been one of the players that have been playing the kind of like slow-paced plays for so long now. Like even in like not even just like this season, but in the previous season, he would play it down to like time over more often than not. Every single week that he's actually performed, he's done a very good job of irritating the opponent and then all of a sudden stepping on the gas. I want to see if that's going to be like a different story. I want to see if he's going to like reverse the order of play styles against someone like Nemo.
Yeah, super curious. I mean, he's sitting pretty. 4 wins, 0 losses. Some of the best in this season, to be honest. Nemo maybe not doing as good as he wants to, 1-3 right now. So we'll see what he's able to bring to the table right here. He can stay stable against someone like Dogura who's able to be patient up in this matchup. Bison would love to be patient, to be honest. Like, Bison can play aggressive if he can get the right reads in terms of momentum and reading, you know, the rhythm of the room. However, Bison would love to be like waiting back in the turtle style, stay back a while and get that lead and keep it. Buffer up to the fierce and a scissor kick, but still keeping that distance.
See Nemo being pretty hard to counter against it in regards to like where he's going to be at on the screen. I think his movement has been so hard to predict and hard to react to for so long.
Oh, for out though, the Inferno. I like him using Stand Fierce though. Down 4 Fierce could get jumped in on. Medium kick. Look at these pokes though from Nemo. The jump back, trying to find the fadeaway. Throw and play. One more hit. Again, those jump situations, difficult for Bison to deal with it. He knows it.
I love the anticipation. Yeah, just jump back medium kick. Looking for Dogura to find that activation point via slide. He 100% had his number. Looking to dial it in again. The scissor kick. Not too bad, actually, off of a knockdown. Nemo doesn't have to suffer for too long. Doesn't have to take too much damage off of it, but now he's in the corner. And the slight walk back from Dogura was still enough. Oh, no, the side switch on the back throw. But now it's going to be Dogura yet again utilizing that meter, taking all the momentum back. Again, a lot more of an offensive start.
Yeah, he can't be back a little bit too long. See a Dogra half the trump like volume. Scissor kick gets in. Careful of the V-trigger situation. Gets the knockdown with the light. EX scissor kick goes in for the Oki, of course. The dash up throw. Dogra having nothing to fear with that reversal off the table. Puts us round to round.
It's so tough. Look at this. Again, Nemo had put himself like near the corner, and all of a sudden he's in your face getting a throw on you. Like, how does that even happen?
That fast dash, bro. So ridiculous, this character. The chase down with the chariot tackle. Might be EX addition too. Heavy kick again. Scissor kick. Oh, but here we go. EX hard knockdown. Hold this. The back though. Now it's my turn to party. Slide. Gets the grip. Let me see the mix with it. Light. I like that sequence. Backs off enough to block that sequence out for the EX.
Oh
Plus
my
frames.
God, again. And that was such a delay. Dogra getting the first game against Nemo. This offensive playstyle in the corner is exactly what we were leading up to. I gotta say, Dogra has been doing such a great job of getting some of these significant throw baits against Nemo. Like, it's very impressive to do it with a very slow walking character.
Yeah. Position yourself in the right area definitely takes a lot of work, but Dogra knows what to do with this character. We've seen it time and time again. Not only throughout Street Fighter League, but just in other tournaments and stuff like that, running this character where he's just pestering you. I like what he's choosing for his buttons. Not going for down forward fears too much, can be whip punish. He's going for stand fears. Looking for the buffer in a scissor kick to put him in the corner. And building up great life all the while.
See the scissor kicks in play from Dogra as expected. And also the V-Skill 1 just absorbing the metallic sphere. And the good call out from Nemo, getting a big jump in. And now the buffered stand medium punch. Dash up. Ugh. But now he throws him back, so that's going to put him near mid-screen. That's going to be kind of tough. Now, I haven't seen Nemo really in full control against Dogra in the corner thus far.
It's true. That lack of reversal situation. Reverse of fortune right here for Dogra, though. That's the bomb. V-shift. Doesn't go for the break. Those plus frames. Careful. EX can come through. Dogra actually goes for the dash-in throw on the ground. We'll definitely take that over what has been an explosion situation. There's one more grip that could do it.
Oh. This should be more than enough. Metallic sphere into the chariot tackle. Yes, sir. Nemo putting himself, a huge sigh of relief, too, from the side of Nemo. I don't know if you guys saw it on the player cam, but this man has been stressing out over Dogra. And who can blame him? Genuinely. It's such a tough matchup right now.
I like that from Dogra. If you still get one punish, just go for the back throw. We've seen how this character gets the lead and defeat it up in the corner. You get lacking reversal. You have to go for some desperate options. Back throw. Where are you going? You live here. Start paying rent. I want utilities first of the month too as well. Challenge in with a dash in. Doesn't get the EX situation. The counter it. But still has him caught up in the corner. The jail, no bail. Another throw. This time to confirm. One more hit will do it.
Oh, he just took that. That metallic sphere actually came out a lot faster than anybody really expected. Oh, he's gonna have to sit there and take it. No, actually, I lied. I thought it was gonna be within range to like stuff out any sort of movement from Dogra, but he managed to jump away, or sorry, jump in to Nemo's space.
That forward movement, I mean, honestly, who would expect him to jump? Because that could have been a jumping media punch into that mirror into, I'm back in the game. That's not what happened. Dogra, with that aggression that you had pointed out previously, has to get active with it. And actively putting this character in the corner. No crouch fierce, want to go for the V-shift and the break. And defense and offense.
Big opener there from Dogra, and now we get to see the harassment in the corner. No, he's backing off a little bit too. He's just teasing with the walk forward. Does get the air-to-air against Nemo. That's really understanding medium punch. I don't know if he maintained the charge to finish that combo. A big counter hit there from the side of Nemo. That's one mirror. What happens with the rest of it though? The second mirror also forced to block.
V-shift punish, yes sir. Can't do that for free. And Dogra takes it over Nemo. with a fantastic reversal right there. Not just using like, you know, a DP or something like that, using the V shift into a punch. You cannot run those EXVs anymore for free if they've got V-bar at the bottom, and Dogura taking it.
That is 20 points straight for Good 8 squad, and that leaves us with that final moment. It's going to be so tough, man. And he's also clenching his chest. Dogura, as dominant as he was, there's still a lot of stress involved. So it's so interesting to see like reactions from Dogura overall, like the way that he plays, the way he is as a person, and then also like how he kind of clutches his chest, like, oh, that was close. Like, it's so wild to see like the range of emotions and also like such sturdy gameplay all at the same time. But yeah, as it stands, 2 games straight against Nemo. We haven't really been able to see Nemo shine in the spotlight in a dominant fashion thus far. As we take a look at the current stats, a lot of numbers on the board, but more so a lot of donuts on the side of Nemo. Really not a lot of attempts for an anti-air because of the fact that Dogura never really jumped at him. EXDPs, no attempts there because, of course, Urian not able to. But the grabs, though, from both ends, 0 and 8 and 0 and 7, that is a pretty significant detail because of the fact that, you know, it's tough, one, to catch people off guard with like some of the frame traps that were kind of presented, right? I think the throws that were implemented from both ends were just more so from the conditioning based off of like what had happened throughout the course of that matchup. There was a lot of delayed normals that would come out from both ends.
That's true as well. And you saw the anti-airs that came through from Dogura too as well. Maybe not as much as he wanted, but 3-for-7 is really good when you're playing like Bison. That's predictive. You have to move the skies with the air-to-air or the hell attack. So now, in terms of who to send up, I already know who I want. I say put up Higuchi. He's hot off that win, CPT edition. He has the highest amount of wins in total in Street Fighter League Japan. He runs a character that does, I think, still well against Colleen. You know, the fact that her EX or anti-EX fireball options are weaker this season is going to be a good reason for Higuchi to go up. So I think it's going to be him that has to go up, in my opinion. They focus the camera right on that guy right there.
Man, I was gonna say he's looking real mean. I had never seen him this focused before. He also got a haircut. It looks like he got a brand new haircut. That's what it looks like. Don't ask me though. I'm not the guy to ask whether or not somebody's got a haircut or not. That's just not. Don't worry about that. But as it stands right now, Higuchi, I think he's gonna be the anchor.
I think so too. I think Higuchi's going to be just fine. However, this is the EVO champion, this Kawano, right? This is EVO online and offline champion. He won online in 2021 and 2022. Took over IDOM, and with a character that it's so weird to say, you know, it's weaker, but still has a similar game plan. It just has to focus on getting bar a little bit more often. You know, take it to the corner with a V-trigger situation and apply that good corner pressure. But Higuchi just so hard to read. You see him do upside down kick into flash kick, or, you know, -2 into taking back his turn, even after fireballs. It's playing Higuchi's like playing somebody different. And honestly, he's one of the strongest guys for that reason, is that confident play style, the walk forward with the buttons and the back fist and the forward fierce and things like that, make him so hard to capture and whip punish because you never know what he's going to do next. And I feel like that has been what has led him to victory so continuously. However, after you win a CPT event, like a World Warrior event, people are looking at you like they already weren't looking at him like he is like one of the best in the season right now. Now even more so, like, oh dang, he's doing good outside at the CPT. We have to focus on this guy. So I know Kawano's going to have a plan for him. And in fact, Kawano actually says that. Watching the recent World Warrior young players, I look forward to playing against him. Higuchi says Kawano is such a strong player.
Yeah, I mean, like it's very much so known that these two players are probably much like the dominant players in Japan right now, and you can see 100% win rate, another 100% win rate, this time from the side of Higuchi. So you'd imagine there's a lot coming through, or a lot of pressure, a lot of extra pressure coming in against Kawano. But I feel like this man is definitely one to thrive under said pressure. I think the way he's been performing overall, and also introducing the counter pick against Fudo with that Akira, sorry, not with Akira, but with Lucia, has been like, you know, signs that he's always ready to be put under these high pressure situations. I think it's going to be the same now. Higuchi, although being hot off of his win streak, you still got to remember Kawano is the EVO champ. So we'll see how these two Titans fare off against each other here in the anchor match. Here we go, game number 1.
See what happens. Kawano definitely has a lot of experience against God. We've seen him fight Daigo God so many times, and I'm sure they fought, you know, quite a bit in some of the ranked matches in other areas too as well. So we'll be acclimated. But this I feel like is a new Higuchi, but also the same for Kawano. Getting prepared for this character. When I dash in, no go, but didn't have the flash kick or the EXP behind it. Still, keep his distance. It's Higuchi.
And again, we were talking about some of the things that Kawano can do in regards to like anti-fireball, but right now it's not. It doesn't seem like a lot. I feel like in general, Colleen can really utilize.
I mean, it's been triggered. To do so is a lot. Asking quite a bit from this character.
You see Higuchi pretty much masking this charge more often than not. It's been so difficult for Kawano to even get past some of these booms, but when he does, he tries to make the most of it.
Maybe Boomer locking things down. But the super, of course, can't do that. He's got the bar at the bottom. He's hunting for it and found the W. You don't even typically see that from colleague players. They use their bar for other things, but other means right here for Kawano use that super just to get through the fireballs in the proper sort of way. First one to him.
Crazy is I didn't even see him buffer. The power of hitbox, man. This man's doing like one frame supers. Oh, I stunned? He's gonna go
stun
for it.
already.
Knocked down up the Parabellum with the frame kill, standing light kick, nice and easy. Higuchi walking it out like a man, gets the back throw.
But the jump in, bad situation, trying to find the activation off the boom was not going to happen as Kawano read the rhythm. Gets that jump in. That's actually great to look out for these activation points on V-Trigger. We saw that this entire day. We've seen it entire Street Fighter 5 lifespan at the high level. You're looking out for how they're going to activate. Or Higuchi wants to be on hit with the boom, leading back to mid-screen, and then enact that super when he has the ability to do so. Kawano knowing that, denying that, and applying his jump in to get that W. Kawano's definitely ready for this matchup, but not only that, ready for Kawano. Ready to deal with Kawano's obstinacy. We've seen that, again, Kawano going for like upside down kick -4 and the flash kicks and stuff like that. The walk-in throws and stuff, the dash ups and stuff, have a lot of been checked by Kawano. Like, he's doing a good job of corralling this character and this person, but that's only the first game.
Yeah, we'll see how Higuchi does with Guile. Again, going into game number 2, Kawano already establishing his dominance. And I will say though, Higuchi's done a fantastic job of going like back and forth within ranges he wants to play Sonic Boom. Also being able to fight out of the corner and not be harassed for too long by Kawano. But as it stands right now, Kawano utilizing his meter wisely, taking advantage of the booms that have been thrown thus far and not taking too much damage from those at all, really. So it's a good back and forth thus far. It's a good amount of information for Higuchi to digest. We'll see what he does with that information.
I think Higuchi has to realize that, okay, I got a target in my back. People have been labbing out how to deal with, you know, obviously against Guile, but like my playstyle, how to control me, because usually the control is with Guile. Guile wants to control the opponent. You know, he's not gonna be dumping out damage unless he's got the CA play and V-Trigger. He wants to harass you with normals, wants to keep you that mid-range to long-range gameplay and confidently slay out the booms. And even though I guess Kawano too as well, but Colleen has been nerfed in a way that you have to be predictive when it comes, a little bit more predictive at least. We're dealing with fireballs, we have to expend a lot of resources. He has been taking off enough health where if I'm going to hit you, it's going to hurt with either CA or I'm going to push myself out of the corner for positional advantage. So either way, Kawano is just doing a fantastic job of controlling the character. Now Higuchi has to do something different with it. This character's still a threat. So is Kawano.
Most definitely. Even despite all the changes that Colleen had gone through, I mean, still being able to take a W over at EVO is no easy feat, man. International waters, doesn't even matter where it is, he's going to be playing to the utmost potential with this character. And we're going to see how this plays out. Higuchi needs to find that adaptation. He needs to find it quick. He does not want to get a full shutout. He is Saishun Console's last hope for at least this week.
It's true. Auto coming with his addition right there. Gets the knees right after. Again, the activation, but this time Kawano not spinning, just not believing. still can make the comeback if he puts him in the corner. Next, that good corner pressure overall. Crouch medium kick. Not when it's been any of this almost. Nice call on the boom once again. He's in. Goes low this time.
Oh my god, not a single button from Higuchi. And Kawano has actually been pretty adamant about getting some of these frame traps. He just went straight into normal after normal after normal, thinking Higuchi was going to press a button. He wants to break his defense. He's trying to make a statement about it.
Higuchi able to walk himself out from that deep bar to do so. Jump in. Deep enough. That W. Kawano trying to walk to the other side of the corner. EX. And the throw. I like him using that bar for something different with Higuchi. Instead of waiting for like CA or anything like that, looking to use that EX to switch up his pace and place it where he puts the beams at. But it might be Ras. Kawano goes for the B shift, wants to build that bar for that super, or just hits him with the EX. Icicles and the anti-air right there. Anyone's game.
Oh, 3 seconds left on the clock. That was actually so close. Higuchi barely catching Kawano, standing up, walking back, whatever it was, caught the low with the attack, and now it's going to be Kawano striking first blood. EX Parabellum already pushing Higuchi to the corner.
Look at this different defense in terms of what Higuchi wants to do in the corner. Like these jump outs, we see a lot more of like challenging Kawano leaving instead of just walking up throw or even flash kick. But here's the crush, the throw, put him in a coffin. Flash kick, gets out of there. Higuchi now with a better flash kick reversal, gets some distance with it. Sling out the moves, get back to mid-screen. It's not what he be called against the corner. Against the wall, I should say.
Oh. Yeah, Kawano has the life stream. You see a rebuttal, a big one at that from Higuchi. A couple of booms to follow through. The heat trigger one is going to be a big detriment to Kawano. Icicle jump, I love that.
It's out of there. Kawano will still take this. Looking for that super. Not the most damaging CA, but he's almost in distance to do so. Either way. You find a button. Will Higuchi let that happen? Higuchi would love to hit him with that super right back at him. Even up the games, the dash in, the tech. The defense from Higuchi to stay solid.
It's so tough. Higuchi, oh man, he's playing with fire. EX Sonic Boom 2 times over. He's looking for a time over again. Is Kawano gonna let him get away with it? EX Fireball. Oh, and he walked into the standing fierce. Kawano is going to take at least round number 2. Yeah, he is. Okay, you see Higuchi building a little bit of meter for himself. He had conceded, but still, that could have been either man's game. And the big jump into Kawano again, another similar start. Getting himself with EX Parabellum off the jump in a good amount of damage.
That's right. You have to have good reads like that. Confidence to get a jump in on someone like Higuchi, or much less just Guile. So many anti-air buttons, and the flash kick too as well. Taking a ton of damage, a ton of life from Higuchi. Within 20 seconds, V-Shift goes for the break. Ray life. Heavy on the side of Higuchi. You gotta be careful here. Don't get hit with anything. Doing his best to stay solid. And that life regenerate. As soon as I say that, the medium into the Parabellum in a throw. Sequel should seal it. Kawano.
Oh. Back throw. And now the air throw. Higuchi is trying to track him down. Kawano being real slippery. Oh, is that enough? All right, I'm sorry, within range? It's not!
Too far out. Way too far out. Higuchi was able to get that super. Rare to see him drop that distance. Did not calculate it right. The walk-up throw, though. Higuchi says, I'm just fine. I'm just fine.
Man, that was actually such a close call. Even Higuchi, as soon as that W happened, he was like, whoo, I can't believe it. Like the way he looked was so, it was such a good sigh relief too. It was actually kind of crazy just watching him. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I dropped that critical art. We got to go back to like we got to go back to character select screen for that one, because that was way too close for comfort.
for both sides. I mean, I love the way that Kawano's playing in terms of recognizing the rhythm, because I feel like every Gal player or every zoner player is going to have a different rhythm of how they throw out fireballs. And Higuchi's no different. You know, when it comes to fireballs, he still has that in his game plan, maybe less so than the likes of Guile or likes of Daigo. But in terms of reading that rhythm, it's been difficult for a lot of players out here in Street Fighter League, but not Kawano, not this time. He's been finding the jump is just fine. However, how Higuchi's fighting out of the corner and reverse of things has been different than what we typically see. Instead of like wake up upside down flash kick or any other methods, he's using something more patient like walk up throw or just simple jump outs, willing to take up like crouch fierce or some anti-air damage. So I do like the way that he is shoring up his defense. Let's see if he can shore it up right here. We're game to game. Can't have any more mistakes.
We see the exchange already. Higuchi just within range, where Kawano thinks he could throw a button, ends up running into a boom instead more often than not. Thus far, Higuchi now taking advantage of that walk speed. Oh yeah, one of the biggest detriments to Colleen now is her inability or inconsistencies towards her anti-airs.
It's true. Nerf this season. You gotta be really careful about how you put that crouch fierce. You want you commit with like parry, EX parry and stuff like that. Be reversal though, gotta get some distance, but the block though from Kawano. Easy wasted a bar. Not that one though. EX gets the knockdown. That crouch mini kick harassing him in the neutral. Get him out that side of the situation. The air throw. Gotta finish him here.
Oh, jump out. Kawano keeping him in check. Air throw is there. Back to back throws from Higuchi. Oh. I'm loving the counterplay from Higuchi as well, and also being so hard to contain.
Where he stands out for like the dash, it's not even just for like the dash check, but he's looking for like crouching medium punch dash checks. Like he wants those. He can get like a light punch and a flash kick if he gets a counter hit and things like that. But so I like the range where he's going to place himself and his character for those right buttons, and this allows him to do things like this: bait out B reversals, get forward fierce to back fist. He really pressure against the corner. This is just fine. Higuchi can't work himself out. Like he's confident in doing so.
Oh, big crush counter. Now the rebuttal coming in from Kawano off of the wake up jabs. Neutral jump does get flash kicked on. Get that out of here. Higuchi, he's trying to wait and bait, man. See a couple of those rolls. Trying to egg Kawano on into thinking the Sonic Boom's coming. Gets Parabellum, that's one. He needs a couple of more sequences if he wants to keep it close. Doesn't get that opportunity. Higuchi taking the advantage now, taking the lead, I should say, 2-1 against Kawano.
He has become a fortress in this defense of the corner. I'm loving the defense that Higuchi puts on, because it's so difficult when you're dealing with someone like Kawano, a character like Colleen. Back heavy kick, medium punch, the throw, pressure strike throw that she has. And even though she's not dumping out that much damage before, it puts you in the corner continuously. Higuchi's found ways out of that corner. He's also found air to air for the jumping light kick. Higuchi now sitting himself on game point. The trade, able to recover time and stay fine. Kawano is still not done yet.
And not even close to, again, we've seen Kawano come back from worse. We see the back roundhouse coming into effect against Higuchi, actually finding the mark. That's something we haven't seen find the mark in a long time, I feel like. Now Higuchi gets to show off his offensive excellence.
Side switch the overhead. One almost dead. Activation could route it back like that. We've seen it, as you had pointed out. All it takes is a few conversions to really get back in the driver's seat, and this is a good party starter. Them enhanced normals, some enhanced punches, powered up. But Higuchi striking back immediately, not wanting to let any more of that pressure happen. Woo. In the fadeaway, the shimmy, that's a stimmy shimmy. That's gonna land him a lot of points. And to stay in the game for his team, if he can get this next round going down, he's on second.
Looking to tie it up at least 20-20, which is going to be a pretty significant deal, more so for Saishogun Soul Kumamoto than it is for Good 8 Squad. Good 8 Squad had already broken the 200-point barrier, so they're big chilling with points. But Higuchi and his team, they need them. Absolutely need them. Yes, Parabellum.
Low.
Big whiff punish.
From the medium. Now looking for those buttons. It's a button that he's been going to quite a bit. Higuchi now getting whip punish. Upside down kick, gets the hit, the flash kick. Meaty fireball. Activation, blocks out in time to stay fine. The back throw, Higuchi. He's gonna finish this off. He's got 2 bars in the bottom. The threat with the EX fireball. Or he'll just get the activation off the boom, and this means Higuchi will take it for his team and take us to the sudden death with that flash kick ender. Taking down the Evo champion.
That is a big message to send to, like, coming in straight from his World Warrior performance. Kawano had called him out. He's like, I want to see what the young guns are all about. Higuchi absolutely rose to the occasion, answered that call, and actually put him on blast. X, I gotta say, like, Guile's still as dominant as ever. Kawano with Colleen not gonna be as effective. We see pretty much 3 X's on the board right now. Again, it's 1-3 in terms of Kawano's record against Higuchi, and I gotta say that's pretty impressive from the side of the young man. Like, that's him continuing this hot streak for the team. You have to bet him as, like, the anchor, like, pretty much the rest of the season, because Higuchi is somebody who's looking unstoppable.
That marks his 7th win straight. No losses. No loss to the side of Higuchi. And again, if you're looking to play Guile, if you want a game plan, you want a template, you look at how Higuchi plays. It takes a lot of work, a lot of understanding of how the game operates, a lot of studying the matchups and how the players play. But to get that kind of wild style with that good defense, we saw him now. Defense that I've never seen from Higuchi, not even in the World Warrior tournaments, not even in previous league fights. Defense that has been better and been acclimated better to as well. It's just Higuchi's he's just a big threat. And I thought, honestly, going into this match, he would be one to look at that a lot of players would be like, we have to prepare for him. We have to find a way to against him. And I feel like Kawano had somewhat of a game plan, but it wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough against Higuchi.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said in regards to, like, what kind of damage Higuchi can dish out as Guile in comparison to what Kawano could do. I feel like Colleen in general is very reliant on some of these situations with, like, meter. I think there's a lot to be said in regards to, like, what the damage output can be for Colleen when she has EX bars. So, like, outside of the stats that we see here, 11 out of 18 from the anti-air department, 1 out of 2 for EXDP from the side of Higuchi, 6 out of 11 throws. Techs were successful against Kawano. Then on the other side, sort of similar in terms of percentage between, like, the throws and techs, but at the same time, like, the anti-airs a lot better. No opportunities to do anything like invincible reversal for Colleen, because it is Colleen after all. But I will say, like, with those numbers in mind, I think it was very tough to try to get, like, some of these throws going. But the mental stack was not enough to keep Higuchi from getting these anti-airs going. And there was a lot of responses too in terms of chasing out Kawano, right? There was so many times where he's actually gotten the air grab in the entirety of that set, which was pretty impressive.
So now, who do we sit up on both sides? In my opinion, Higuchi got to go up regardless of anything. Right? Like, Higuchi's already warmed up. He's shown that he's on fire right now. He's already got a W for his team. He's riding that momentum, riding that win. And the fact that he's one of those aggressive type of players, I feel like he's got to go up. But it looks like Dogra's going to fight against him with that Bison. And I think that's a fine choice. I think on paper, Bison is okay. He's able to absorb the fireballs. The normals might be a problem, but we've seen the stand fierce come through in the clutch, medium punch too as well for Bison. And that crouch medium kick could harass Higuchi if he tries to dash in. He's really going to be tested on defense. So we'll see how this kind of operates between the two. Because in the first to one, it's way different. The first to twos, the first to threes that we're seeing right now. You only get one chance, one match to get those 25 points on the board.
Yeah, if you're a numbers person, when you're looking at Higuchi, the way he's been performing thus far, I think there's a lot of times where Higuchi would kind of, like, take the L in the first round and, like, dissect his opponent afterwards. I think that's been the case for some of, like, the earlier parts of the season, but even in, like, the matchup we just saw between him and Kawano, he had lost the first game. But, like, other than that, like, he's been pretty dominant. Actually, yeah, I think this season he's been doing a great job getting the first round. So I retract that. I retract that completely. Higuchi's done a great job of getting the first games, or the first games in majority of his matches when I look back at the stats. So he's just fine. He's just fine. Don't worry about that.
Maybe thinking of the World Warrior tournament, because I feel like there were definitely instances where he would lose like the first match, or maybe even the second match too as well in the first of 3, and he'd still be fine. I felt like he would have that dissection in that, in that match. He'd be like, okay, well, I'm using this to kind of get that read so I can play my style confidently, so I can understand what you want to do on defense and on offense. But again, Dogura is such a patient player that I'm curious to see how that's going to be broken down, because Dogura can get offensive with it if he puts you in the corner. But mid-range, can you break down someone like Dogura? And you break down the walls of Dogura that have the willing to block and not go for risky anti-airs and things like that if you try to jump in. And he'll find that fierce to the scissor kick, put you in the corner, and then after 20 seconds, you're holding plus frames for the next 80 seconds. You're like, dang, when is it my turn?
Never your turn. It's your turn is an illusion. It was never there. No, but like all jokes aside, I think Dogura does a great job of like placing buttons in spots where you think you're allowed to press a button. I think his frame trap game is phenomenal. His delayed button press game is phenomenal. He's been that kind of player for so long. Like experiencing his gameplay firsthand from like previous iterations of Street Fighter, like he really shows you like how to play in so many different speeds in like a single set, and it's truly like a remarkable kind of like way of playing. Like that's been like fine-tuned for years and years and years. So I want to know like if Higuchi, being the young gun, being some of the newer generation of the FGC, has what it takes to kind of deter the kind of playstyle that Dogura presents.
So I'm so curious how this match will go. But also, this will be like the first loss for both players. Higuchi's with a win streak.
Yeah.
Dogura's with a win streak too as well. He's 4-0, or 5-0, I should say, after today. So this will be the first loss for one of these players. One of these players with a perfect record is walking away with a stain on their name, and also one other one's going to be walking with the majority of the points. Obviously, as you said before, Good 8 squad sitting in the top spot. They don't have much to worry about, but you want to deny as many points as possible. And the fact that these teams are able to strike at the top team, even more so than we've seen last season, shows how tight the race can be in terms of like the point system as things get further and further. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like that before, but now with the new meta, the new teams, and how more solidified they are with the strategy, I feel like it's so hard to call who's going to take it. If someone like Good 8 squad can be challenged like this, we may not even see them in the top spot later. I'm not going to prophesize anyone's demise, but I'm going to say that anyone could take this and get the qualification. Either of these teams, lower or bottom end or higher end.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it, to be honest. I mean, it's very difficult to call no matter how you spin it because of how talented each and every one of these players are. But as it stands right now, we talk about the confidence factor. Higuchi, he said he is the strongest today. In fact, he's been the strongest since the weekend, to be honest with you. So we'll see how much of that confidence turned into results against someone like Dogura, the winning devil himself. This guy's made a deal with multiple devils, I feel like, over the course of Street Fighter, but also maybe in real life, because this man still looks as young as ever. This guy does not age. He's been around the block for a while. This man does not age at all.
It makes no sense. Like, he still looks like the same as he has, a decade ago plus. So he looks like he's a young gun himself. So definitely curious to see, what devil he made the pack with, but he was going to be dancing with the devil today. Higuchi going up against Dogura. They can solidify for this match. Again, Higuchi saying that he'd like to beat him. He'd like to win this. He'd like to put that stain on his name. First to one, first to death. Final match of the day.
We're excited to see it. Let's see how it throws down between these two. Let's get the sudden death going. Something we haven't been able to see yet. Actually see in did we ever see this last week? We did actually, Gyogun and Good 8 squad. Man, so this is another sudden death match for Good 8 squad, huh? I see.
Ooh. Tend to do the brink quite a bit. These top tier teams can be challenged. I mean, they're all top tier teams. Even the top spot teams can be challenged. Skill. Walking him down. He's Dogura. Side switch again from Higuchi. He'll definitely want to leave.
Oh. Look at the placement of the scissor kick. We see Higuchi actually throwing in some of those neutral jumps in preparation for another one just in case. The big confirm from Dogura. Off to a great start so far. And Higuchi thinking he can jump out.
Dogura. He's shifting the brakes. Does he better wait? Take some of this great life. Pull the heavy, heavy kick. Side switch with it. Yo, Dogura definitely really prepared for this matchup. And a trade more than in favor of Dogura with that big leap.
Round 2, are we going to see a more aggressive Dogura? He's already walking into the space that Higuchi wants to throw these booms, or at least throw some of these normals at. What is the idea here for Dogura? We do get the scissor kick, a little bit of chip damage. He's within range to react to a boom with V-Skill, and Higuchi is reluctant to throw a boom. You can see it. He's resorted to throwing out normals instead. And I think that's a big signifier for Dogura. Now he gets to swing away as much as he wants. EX Scissors find the mark.
As a call for the corner for Universal, you have to do that against Bison. Even more so as Guile. You need to use that bar for defensive, or for defensive purposes. Flash kick, gets the hit, but the V-Skill stocked up. You're just giving Dogura even more bar to work with. And an anti-fireball tool right there, cutting through the Sonic Boom. Blocks a jump in. Nice and patient as Dogura now finds an activation. Not on hit though.
Oh, he's going to jump into it.
Blocks the fireball.
Cross up. The Psycho Crusher and into a crush counter now. You're actually going to throw away from taking a W. Dogura, and Higuchi knew it too. He's willing to spend it, but the anti-air is still there. The winning devil from a good 8 squad takes it down for his team. 5 extra points on the board, but more importantly, continues his win streak and puts an L on the board for Higuchi.
And oh man, Dogura, the one to do it, though, Dogura, the winning devil. He made the contract. It's only natural that he gets a W. And again, continue that streak and taking on the streak of someone who has been so dominant, not only in the league, but also Street Fighter V in general this year. There's the wonder child himself, Higuchi. Dogura says the old man still have something to say today. He takes it for the team. 25 points over 20 points in that sudden death. They're going to be walking away with not only the W, but more points on the line right here to stay in that top position. They would have either way, but you definitely want to have as many as possible. But going back to how Dogura played, just a wall that you just cannot break down. And then when he puts you in the corner, it makes you look like a clown, continuously putting on the pressure. It's so hard to find a way out. And Higuchi would love to find the activation with the Sonic moves and things like that. But you're forced to spin that V-bar or V-reversal. It just didn't happen. He wasn't able to make the comeback. Dogura keeping those big leads and making big decisions.
Yeah, so as it stands right now, good 8 squad again getting 25 points for themselves. That's not going to be like a huge, like the big factor here. It's the fact that Saishun Console Kumamoto walks away with 130 points. But just to kind of rack that up for you, good 8 squad with 25 points total for this matchup puts them at 240 points thus far. Which is pretty significant lead. That's a 50-point gap between themselves and second place, which Shinobiism Gaming right under them with 190 points. So that is a very comfortable lead for at least, a week or so. But as it stands right now with Saishun Console Kumamoto, they're doing a great job of just climbing up the ladder. They've actually tied themselves up with V6 Plus FAV Gaming. I don't know what their record is like against each other, so whoever had the better of the exchange from their interaction from previous weeks, I'm going to take a look at that again. They'll be the ones to take it over. So I think it was in let's see, in week actually no, that was that's tough to call. Actually, I'd have to look at that later on. But yeah, as it stands right now, they're pretty much tied up.
I mean, that's good with him to walk away with, maybe not a win, but just walking away with some more confidence to be able to strike the team that's in the top spot and take them to like the final game, the death match. This happened multiple times for Good 8 Squad to again show you that they're not infallible, that they can bleed. Even gods may bleed and get bruised up. Gachiku going to these interviews saying, I think playing away from Saishun Khan was going to be a tough game. I was really nervous to play that match against Shuto, though. We wanted the game to end ASAP because Shuto has been playing so well. We saw that previously with Shuto, got second place in the World Warrior event, and then also had won one of them too as well. So he's definitely been playing amazingly. Kawano says he can't say anything today. Just want to say thanks to Dogura for taking it for the team. It's kind of short things up and taking that W at the very end.
And we, of course, we get the profound winning interview from Pugera, who always leaves us in riddles and in rhyme. So I want to know exactly what it is that he gets to say as the reserve, because again, his past performance didn't get to lead him to the promised land for his team, but still another 25-point ball game for Good 8 Squad. But just to kind of hark on my last point earlier, I was looking up the record between the two teams, V6 FAV Gaming and Saishun Kansou Kumamoto. The last time they interacted with each other was indeed in week number 5. So technically V6, despite being tied in points with Team Seoul, they are technically in the lead. So that puts them, I believe, looking at my sheet, I think that puts them in 5th place proper, and that puts Saishun Kansou Kumamoto in 6th place.
6th right now. So, I mean, that's still not super bad. You're not in the lowest spot. You obviously would like to have better. In that previous match, had kind of determined this, but they'll have more than a chance and opportunity to come back and showcase that they can. They've already showcased that they can come back. They've already showcased that they can almost take that top spot. Like, they have the idea to delete some of these characters, these players. They have the formation of these game plans, and it's not just resting all upon Higuchi. It's not just all Higuchi's, sort of victories, kind of, I don't want to say carrying them, but kind of taking the majority of what they do. Bulgaria says that he was in reserve today in order to win. He lost World Warrior. So he was like, I was holding back my power so that y'all could win today. Even though he didn't get to play. Bulgaria is definitely he's a character. He is definitely a character. I love seeing him say some wild stuff on the mic. Can't wait to see what he does when he comes back to actually play. He did do pretty decent in the World Warrior event, though. He did get top 8, so it's not like he did horrible in the World Warrior event. He's definitely in the top 8 running percentile, so he'll be doing fine. And his team is doing fine out here too as well. Looks like Dogura is saying some stuff. I'm sure he's deliberating on how he got that first one. As all these players have now figured out that they have to prepare for first ones if they do happen. Good 8 Squad especially, we already saw Gachiku previously. Now this time Dogura, so they have to have a playstyle for first one. It's so different. You don't have time to deliberate and figure out what the opponent wants to do. So we'll see what Dogura is going to say about how he got that victory over the perfect record of Higuchi.
Yeah, I mean, like he said, back-to-back W's for this week, right? Being able to start things off, or at least be the vanguard in match 2 against someone like Nemo's Urien with 2 rounds straight. He's, again, like, I think overall with his record being as dominant as he is, having an undefeated streak, I think his playstyle is so hard to counter against. Like, no matter who you are, like his playstyle is so unpredictable, and it could be so annoying to play against. And like, it's unpredictable because he plays defense majority of the time. But like his understanding of spacing and instincts on when you want to press a button is above and beyond most like human capabilities. And I stick by this because again, being able to like talk to other top players who have played against Dogura, being able to like be in certain situations trying to plan out for Dogura in like previous instances of video game of Street Fighter games, he is such a problem, and I'm sure that he's got a lot to talk about, right? We do have the translation, a slight translation at that. Lately, the young players can't quite win. No such things as veterans being the better players. Higuchi and Kawano are the top young players, despite not getting the W today for Higuchi. He still gives him a lot of praise, and same for Kawano. Again, acknowledging the future generations. It's not going to be just the veterans who have been dominating Street Fighter for so long. Like, we're starting to see like those floodgates finally open in Street Fighter 5. So it's he also adds on to it by saying young players shouldn't give up, work hard, and get a win from the old men. So very, very good, showmanship and also good sportsmanship from Dogura, and also firmly believes in the future of Street Fighter.
I mean, the future definitely is the younger generation to have new blood come into the game and do so well, showcasing that it's never too early to start or even too late to start in some cases. And we talked about how Kawano, he really got going when he saw the Komomichi Okito versus Daigo match. That's where he kind of get going. And so, again, even if you're a young gun out here, you can still come through if you put in the work ethic and with Kawano winning Evo, Higuchi doing fantastic in World Warrior events and fantastic this entire year. Even though he didn't win today, it just shows you the power that these young guns do have. But the power, though, of Good 8 Squad and the power of Dogura, who is just so hard to stop. Even only getting one anti-air, those donuts don't mean a dang thing. And one good flash kick did come through from the side of Higuchi too. It just wasn't enough to deter Dogura from putting the pressure when he puts him in the corner. Even in first to one, that's actually very important to get hit with a flash kick and still say, even if he does do a reversal, I'm still gonna be off put by that. I'm off put by that reversal. I'm gonna put my pressure on you no matter what. I'm not gonna stick away from my game plan. And I want to highlight like the fact that Dogura, as you pointed out, is just so powerful and so hard to stop in any game. Like I even saw something from Mago on FTC Translate where he's like, Dogura doesn't really play the matchup. He's playing like the person a lot. He's really focused on that first and foremost. He's figuring out what you want to do as a player first. That comes first. Everything else is second. And I like that playstyle, especially with a character like Bison. But what happened between this Urian versus Rashid match?
For the most part, I think it was pretty evenly matched. Like, Shuto has had very solid strategies against Rashid as a character and also expecting what Gachikun wanted to do, but there was just not enough to deter Gachikun afterwards. Like, we see, like, this big ender. It actually wasn't going to be enough, but even, like, forward after that. Oh, actually, it was. My bad. I thought that was the instance where we actually survived. My mistake. But we did see Shuto break down the defense of Gachikun. Actually, I think that was the round where Gachikun was whiffing the most normals. I think immediately after that, he had just fine-tuned his spacing and was like pretty much unstoppable after that. I know it sounds a little shallow in the analysis, but I will say like it was literally like Gachikun not whiffing his buttons. Like in games 2 and game 3. I kid you not. This man has been on the mark so often than not, and also caught Shuto with a couple of instances where like EX Eagle Spike had gotten the best of him, but outside of that, it was just like it was pinpoint precision from Gachikun.
Speaking about that pinpoint precision right here, pinpoint, keeping on with the Oki and the oppression is Dogura, learning when to turn up like when he needs to. Look at that, the shimmy situation that came from this walk speed of a character that's so slow. You have to hold that pressure because you don't have any sort of reversal. And even though we saw some decent ideas, we saw like, you know, this activation, stuff like that, the typical stuff from Urian, the jump back, fierce jump back, heavy kick, jump back, medium kick, and things like that to catch the slide activations. It just wasn't enough as Dogura just had these really big leads and forced Nemo to come back from the brink. And look at that. You wouldn't expect him to jump forward. That could have been jump medium into a combo to help Nemo come back, but that's the way that Dogura plays. He's like, I know that you don't expect me to do this, so I'll do this instead. There was an opening here that was really good for Nemo. We did see a lot of activations come through for V-Trigger, but again, wasn't enough as Dogura was able to just keep these leads and hold them. I like him utilizing that V-bar usage. We didn't see that from Inaba. We saw it here from Dogura.
Of course, the final game between these two teams, it was Higuchi. It was the battle of the Youngbloods, really. Higuchi versus Kawano. We started to see Kawano pretty much look like he was in the prime position to take it, just in regards to the confidence in his movement and him calling out the sonic booms proper. Like, there isn't too much that Colleen has to kind of like call the sonic booms consistently, but I think overall his patience was the big contributor to his first W. But we talk about some of these sequences, the time over sequences between these two were so close. It was so hard to determine who was going to get what. And Higuchi, again, you could see the big time over victory from the side of Kawano. Higuchi was just building meter, but for the most part, look at the giant like shift of balance in regards to like the gameplay. Higuchi opts to go for movement in the times where you least expect it. I'm glad they didn't rely on sonic booms too heavily, because this was just a massacre. We talk about Higuchi having some of the best offense in the game. He really showed it off in that match.
Yeah. But the one to take this one down in terms of offense, round for round, was definitely Dogura. Keep these leads and look at that. Jumping back, nice and patient, will take these trades. Knew that that light kick was going to hit, you know, after the boom pressure. He was going to be the better one over that, and just interrupting any of the fireballs and things like that. This looked like just one of those wins where Dogura understood how Higuchi wanted to play. And again, Higuchi had been winning so much that I feel like Dogura had just been like, okay, I got to prepare for Higuchi as a player. And that is how I feel like you have to fight Higuchi. It's no longer about fighting guile. It's like you have to fight the player more so, and Dogoro was the perfect person to be positioned for that 1-to-1 situation. Again, showcasing why where you place your players, more than just matchups, but where you place them in these anchor positions, these 1-to-1s or these 1-to-2s are going to be super important too as well. As we see 40 on the side for FAV Gaming, doing fantastic, boosting themselves up in this situation. As we see right here, 5th place, doing a lot better than being in second to last. We'll see the graph too as well. Some exponential things. Good A squad, however, in that top spot. We're in that mid sort of season though. Things could be different though. Things could be switched up as we get the runbacks.
Yeah, we started to see that giant upswing for some of the teams that started off in a lower position, aka Shinobiism Gaming, currently seeing themselves in second place. And we also see a giant shift too for Saishun Console Kumamoto, right? Moving up into like a certain position into 4th and then back into it with 6th. It's been very back and forth thus far with the teams. Even for teams like V6 plus FAV Gaming, they found themselves in a current position of 5th place because they're just trying to get these points little by little. But now that week 7 is concluded, we get to see the runbacks. It's good 8 squad versus Shinobiism Gaming. Yo, 1st versus 2nd. And then after that, Saishun Console Kumamoto versus Nagoya Oja Bodystar Mildon to set it right for week number 8.
My gosh, I can't wait to see. Y'all can see the schedule right here of everything that we're going to have day in after day in. Make sure y'all keep it locked and loaded to everything Street Fighter 5 out here, Street Fighter League Japan, on all the applicable channels, especially here for the English broadcast. Vicious. We've had a fantastic time, but we're in the halfway position. What do you expect to see as we get these runbacks?
I want to see all the adaptations made. I want to see them go for each other's throats. I want to see no punches pulled, and I hope to expect to see that with you guys as well for the next one. In the meantime, it's been an absolute pleasure. We'll catch you all for the next time here for Street Fighter League Japan.